Hey Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 165.
Here we are.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
I'm the Doctor. This is Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Is that all right?
That would be me.
Hello. Surprise.
Boom.
Etc.
I'm the Doctor. Do everything I tell you, don't ask stupid questions, and don't wander off.
How can you kid this? I don't like the colour.
Howdy, howdy do Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week. And that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yeah.
You are getting it, mate.
Only 165 episodes in. We've nailed it.
We've nailed it.
We just need to nail our Alonzi sinking at the end.
It's more fun that we don't.
We'll be there. Yeah, or even if we can just get it in before the music runs out, would be good.
It's because we talk too much.
I know. Too much waffle.
Per usual.
Yes.
Too much waffle. So I hope you guys are good, are well, are snazzy, are sassy, whatever you guys are in between podcasts. We've got a cracking show, loads of news, loads of merch to get through. It's the thing with Doctor Who, isn't it? When there's no live Doctor Who or Doctor Who on the telly or in cinemas these days. It's either very dry, we have like a one item of news that's worthy to talk through, or it's like this week where it's just chock-a-block, there's loads of stuff. It's like buses in the UK.
You just saying chock-a-block has just reminded me of a show I used to love as a kid. Do you remember chock-a-block, or are you too young?
No,
you're not that much younger than me, are you? So do you remember chock-a-block?
Yeah,
chock-a-block.
Yes, I don't think I watched it very often, but I know of it.
I loved it. I loved it. I recently did a search for it on YouTube, actually, chock-a-block. None of our listeners will remember it. They're far too young. Well, one or two might. Yeah, that was a little gem, wasn't it?
There's a really cool YouTube channel that I follow, or subscribe to, should I say, that you've just jogged my memory about, sort of TV shows and stuff. It's called Tea and Toast.
Tea and Toast.
Tea and Toast. It's two guys from up north, who do it, and they kind of do it like, remember the old sort of Saturday morning live TV shows, like if anyone's in the UK,
Swap Shop or something.
Well, roughly our age, because when I was growing up with things like Going Live and Live and that kind of thing,
Live and Kicking. Oh yeah, wow.
They try and do that where they have a little segment of each thing. They do like a review and then a little competition and then a fun little completely ridiculous thing. But it's a really good, anyone that's above the age of sort of 30-ish, I suppose, and remembers those old school things. They talk about a lot of old school films and cartoons and adverts and stuff. So it's called Tea and Toast, Too Old to Grow Up or something like that.
Oh, cool. I bet I'd love that. I'll have to have a search.
It's very good, yeah.
What was that kids program with that alien? I think it was called Gilbert, like a green Gilbert alien and stuff. What was that?
Gilbert, oh yeah.
I remember that on ITV, I think. Just remember him like popping out of this little spaceship every week or whatever, and I don't know. Do you remember Gilbert?
Gilbert, yeah.
What happened to Gilbert?
I think
he's in a storage somewhere, and he's probably gone mouldy and an arms fell off. And
it was Get Fresh.
Get Fresh.
Yes. Yeah. I remember now.
Oh, the memories.
Oh, the memories.
Oh, the memories.
Yes.
Actually, it's just making me feel really, really old, actually.
Yeah, ditto. We're not old. Got a long way to go before we can.
Life in us yet.
Yeah, loads. What have you been up to, buddy? Anything
Doctor Who related? Actually, I've had quite a good week. Actually, I've very pleased. I got the Series 10 Steelbook arrived.
Oh, I saw
on a Sunday. Deliveries on a Sunday. It's outrageous, isn't it? I couldn't believe it because it was such a nice surprise because obviously it's an Amazon exclusive. And I'm not an Amazon member, so I didn't pay extra for the, date of release delivery stuff. So I think it was due to arrive like tomorrow, Thursday, or yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
It's very timey-wimey when you're recording this podcast. So if you listen to this on day of release, it's supposed to arrive at the end of this week. And I suddenly got a message saying your steelbook will be delivered today on the Sunday. I was like, oh wow, even before the release date. That's awesome. And it's gorgeous, mate. It's really, really nice. It's I know it's expensive. I think it's about, what did it go down to in the end? Was it $47.99? It wasn't. It never dropped. Yeah, it didn't drop that much, did it? We were hoping it might come down to around the 39 mark. I think it was 47 in the end. So
yeah,
not cheap. And I pre-ordered it, just hoping that price would drop, and I don't think it did much. But it's really, really nice. I've got to say. I mean, would I want to pay 48 quid for it? Well, yeah, I think it should have been a bit cheaper. But I've got to say to you, when I opened it, it really looks fantastic in hand. It's a really nice piece, and it comes with the what do they call? I can never say the word. The postcards that when you move. Yeah, I can never. How'd you say it?
Lenticular
postcards, whatever. Yeah, so you move them, and Bill turns into a Cyberman, and Missy turns into the Master, and can't remember what the Doctor does actually. It doesn't turn into the new one, but anyway, so they're very cool. And I was really pleased to get that. And also, something which we were both very happy about was that we both managed to bag tickets to go to Shanda, the BFI, which is in a couple of weeks. And I was so chuffed about that because I was sort of sat there getting really anxious because I was desperate to go to this one. Absolutely desperate. And to my amazement, as we record, there's still a couple of seats left. And I'm really surprised about that because a friend of mine, one of our listeners actually, had specifically become a BFI member so that he got the priority tickets just for that because he really didn't want to miss out, which is our friend Morgan. And so, he was sending me seating plans, showing me all the seats because all the BFI members get like priority booking about a week before.
That's right.
And he was sort of saying to me, oh, look, most of them have gone. There's a few at the back and a couple at the side. And I was like, oh, no. I was just thinking, right, unbelievably, I was off yesterday, which is so unusual. I can't remember. It was just really weird. I'm always rotated to work Tuesday, always. And it was so strange that I got yesterday off and I just thought, right, that's it. I'm going to be in front of the computer, ready to get it and bag it. Then I messaged you saying, oh, they're about to go on sale because you were in a group chat, but I wasn't sure if you were seeing it. So I messaged you privately and stuff. And we were both like, yes, we've got them. We've got them. Although we're different rows, but we're not going to talk to each other for it anyway.
I was going to say, don't want to see you.
No, I don't want to see you. We'll say hi before, and we'll go and get absolutely smashed afterwards. But during the performance, silence.
Of course.
But no, I'm really chuffed about that, mate. Really pleased that we're both going to go to that, and it's going to be awesome. They haven't announced who's going to be there yet. There's going to be a couple of people from the production for a Q&A afterwards. I'm hoping Lala.
Yep.
I would have loved Lala and Tom, but I think we both know that's not going to happen. So that's a shame. But I think I can't remember the actor's name, but I think me and Adam, the Ultimate Whovian, are referring to him as Cambridge Guy. And I always think of him as the guy that was in Waiting for God, the comedy. And I can't think of his name either. I think he might be there.
Okay. Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see who they get along. I mean, I would love it if Tom Baker came to that. I think it'd be amazing to have him sit there watching it and talk about it afterwards. But I can't see it happening, unfortunately. But we'll see. You never know. They haven't announced it yet, so
you never know.
You never know. So really, really pleased with that, mate. Really pleased to get his tickets and stuff. So apart from that, not much else. I see you've had some good news though. Finally, that's all I'm going to say. Finally, something has dropped for your letterbox. You've only been waiting about 6 months for it.
Oh yes, my first Doctor Funko Pop.
Hurrah!
Crikey Moses.
Good grief!
It's worth the wait though. It's a great little figure.
He is worth the wait. Yeah, I mean, he is fantastic, but it took its time, didn't it?
It did. They are so weird. ForbiddenPlanet.com, they're so strange. We've destroyed them fairly often on the podcast, haven't we, for their delivery? Because they're a strange beast, ForbiddenPlanet.com. Because you go into some of their stores, and I'm thinking of the London one in particular, because that's the one I go to the most. And your experience there is up and down. For the most part, it's okay. because it's a mega store, they tend to have loads of stuff there.
Yeah.
But the staff can be a bit 50-50, really. Sometimes there's
a couple of really nice ones,
Yeah.
and there's like a couple of...
Precisely, yeah. You speak to a couple of guys or girls that are...
One in particular, but anyway, yeah.
They're into it, and then another one, he just... Yeah. But their delivery is such a weird thing. So with the... What was it that came before the first pop?
It's the Christmas TARDIS that we both arrived smashed for both of us, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was plain sailing. I put the order in. The order changed from processing to, awaiting delivery. And then I got an email to say it's been dispatched. And then literally 48 hours later, it's on the shelf.
Yeah.
As it should be. But with this one, though, I ordered it right at the beginning when they first went up for pre-order. And then it was stuck on processing for days and days. And then everyone started getting them. And then I told you about the contacting them. And they're like, oh, we don't know.
Yeah.
And then I get the dispatch email, but then 6 days later, it's just such a strange beast for being.
I did feel for you, mate, because one of the things that really burns the bacon, to quote one of your brilliant phrases, is when you're waiting for something and you go on Twitter and you just see loads of people posting that they've got it. Yeah. And that kind of happened with the Christmas TARDIS, because you were getting it and I saw a few other people and I was like, where's my Christmas TARDIS? And I could feel the same thing for you with the pop, because loads of people were posting saying, oh, it's finally arrived. Have you got yours yet, Gary? And you're like, no. Thinking, oh no, because I know what that's like. It's so frustrating because you're like, where is it?
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, I'm glad I'm glad he's finally turned up and he's on the shelf. Is he looking all good with his stick and he's sort of gripping his lapel on one side?
That's right. Yeah, I've not unboxed him yet though. I will unbox him probably at the weekend and get him on the shelf, because the shelf needs a dust anyway and all that. Also picked up this cool book as well, because we reviewed Pyramids of Mars last week. I was out the weekend, was in Waterstones and on the lookout for Who books and so on. And I saw this really cool book. I assume it's been out for quite a while. It's called Sands of Time, and it's got a picture of one of the mummies on the front in black and white. It's by Justin Richards. So that looks really good. I'm going to smash into that next week, because I just finished up Tales of Terror, which is a good collection of short, creepy stories.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the next book to get started with. Not much else, mate. We bagged our tickets for Sharda, which is, I feel a little bit used. I feel a little bit used. I thought I was special the other day.
Why?
Our friend Morgan, Gallifrey and Hoovian on Twitter, I got exactly the same bunch of tweets. He's like, the tickets are going on sale. Here's the floor plans. Let me know if you want a ticket. I'll get one for you. And I'm like, brilliant, because these are going to sell out to the public. So bag me a ticket, mate, and I'll give you the cash immediately. And he's like, I can only book 2 at a time, so I can't. So you're gonna have to chance it on the day. But it turns out he's been sending you the same.
Oh, I see.
I thought I was special, but no.
I'm afraid not. No,
Morgan.
No, I think the attention. No, what do you call? The thought was there. I think. I don't think he didn't realise you can only buy a maximum of 2 tickets. I think he was sort of offering to get them for us, and then realised he'd already got a lot of 2 tickets. He's like, I can't get them for you early. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine actually. I mean, I was just worried that they were going to sell straight away. I'm absolutely amazed they've still got some left. Actually, really, really surprised. Yeah. I'm thinking though, it's I don't think it'll be the whole, because Sharda's 6 episodes, isn't it? Or 7? I can't remember. It's quite a long one, isn't it, Sharda? Because I'm thinking, I don't think we're getting to see the whole thing, because it says it's like a 2-hour slot, including the Q&A. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to get to see. But anyway, either way, it'll be good, and it'd be great to have a meet up and stuff, won't it? Yeah. I really like that bit around the beer fire as well. So
it's great. Yeah. I jest, Morgan. I'm only playing, but and then in terms of the blue, I did pre-order the Sharda Steelbook.
Oh yes,
which has come down a little bit. It's $24.99 now. I think that went in at $34.99 when it first was released. Yeah. So that's good. But I still haven't picked up the Series 10 box set. Do you know what? I'm leaning towards just the standard one, because I really love that artwork on the front.
Yeah, it is nice, and I've seen loads of people posting pictures of it this week and saying it looks really good in hand, and that comes with the. That's not my Skype cracking up. That's me not being able to pronounce it. Postcards and stuff. Do you know, it's weird though. Since you mentioned it, I can't get past the stars and reviews that they put on the
the tacky.
I can't get past it because it's such a nice cover. And then it's just got all these silly we got 4 out of 5 stars. And every time I look at it, I just think of what you said about it. Like, why? Just ruins it. But it is a lovely cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But do you know what? The price is still too high for me, though, mate. I'm just not willing to pay. Although the steelbook would sit nice with the other steelbooks on the shelf, I'm not sure. But this happened with Series 9. I remember not picking up Series 9 until about 7 months after it came out.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I will wait for these to drop down a little bit, and I'll keep an eye on the stock for the steelbook because that's still available.
I was going to say I'm just not thinking about the price because I think the price is horrific. I just think it's way too much. But I've got to say that the steelbook is beautiful. I don't regret buying it. I just cannot. I just have to block out what I paid for it. I honestly do. I mean, I can't really justify the price, but it does look great. But yeah, the standard one, mate, I'd wait because that'll definitely come down.
Yeah,
definitely. It's far too much. I think it's $37.99 at the minute.
That's right.
For the Blu-ray, which is it's just way too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just if you're not desperate to rewatch it, you've probably got them all backed up on your box at home, haven't you?
I've still got them on my Sky Q box. Yeah.
No rush.
No worries. Yeah. Right.
We should get into it because we got some great stuff to go through today.
We
really have, haven't we? We've got some good stuff.
Yeah. Shall we land it and do some news?
Yeah.
First up, the big news.
The big one.
The big one, yes. We have our...
I've been dying to talk to you about this.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I know.
I haven't said a word. I haven't said anything on Twitter or Facebook. I've been really good to keep my thoughts locked away till now.
Yes, that's the
only...
And
I don't know what you think either.
Yeah, that's true. What I was going to say, that's the only thing with us doing the podcast is that if we spill the beans too early on socials, before we record, then we don't have anything to talk about.
I know.
So it's a double-edged sword. Because we have a lot of people saying, what do you think? What do you think? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I can't tell you yet. But So, yes, Jodie Whittaker. The BBC have released the first sort of proper publicity photo, promo shot of her in a new get-up and the new or tweaked TARDIS design as well. Out in some field somewhere.
It's even got a little cowpat.
Yes.
It's not, apparently it's a rock.
It's a rock,
as soon as someone pointed out, it does look like a cowpat.
A little bit. Assuming this is... actually, no, it's all photoshopped. So I was going to say, assuming this is Wales, but no, it's all... She's been photoshopped in there with the TARDIS, so it could be anyway. But right. We have the new look confirmed. We have seen a couple of set photos of Jodie in Capaldi's costume in the last couple of days, which is very sad to look at.
It's weird, isn't it? It really actually did made me have a little pang in the heart. I was like, oh no, I don't know. I didn't like that somehow.
Yeah, it's just that confirmation that he's gone,
Just brings home that he's gone. Yeah. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Anyways, let's crack on with Jodie, because we do have a new look. So she's got the very kind of, it almost looks like Davison's coat with a hood.
A little bit, actually. It's funny. Yes, it does. The first thing I thought was it looks like Romana's coat from Destiny of the Daleks. But, like when she tries to, but no, it's a cross between that and Davison's, isn't it? It's that sort of long, creamy coloured almost with red bits. Is it red? Because I'm colourblind, I can't really see. But yeah, it does look a bit Davison-ish. Yeah, it's got some lining inside as well. What colour's that lining?
Yeah, it's like a dark,
purple, blue?
Dark grey, bluey. It's like a very dark, greyish, bluish, navy-ish kind of lining in the middle. And it's also got the same colour. Across her top, she's got that kind of rainbow.
Very Morecambe Mindy.
Yeah, there's also a couple of lines of that similar colour running down the inside of the coat as well. And then she's got the beige braces as well, and the navy trousers and the brown boots with the funky socks, the blue and white striped funky socks. So overall, it's very, very different to, I don't know about you, mate, but I was not expecting this kind of look. I'm not sure about it.
No, I wasn't either. I've got to be honest. I think I was expecting something a bit more smart, because this is very bohemian thrown together, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the trousers are. What do you call those trousers that aren't long enough?
I don't know. What do women call these trousers? Like culottes?
What do women call these? I don't know.
I think. I was going to say shallots, but they're onions, aren't they? But yeah, I think they're called culottes. I'm going to be totally, destroyed on Twitter about this, I'm sure. But I think they're called culottes.
Culotte. I haven't got a clue, but yeah, it's not what I was expecting at all. It's I think I'd sort of seen, like fans had put together pictures of her like in these very smart long black or dark blue coats and stuff like that. I thought really suited it with the blonde hair and everything. So when I saw this, I was at first a bit like, oh, okay, I don't know. It's a real mishmash of stuff. And I'm still not sure about it. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be great for cosplayers. It's going to be a great one to cosplay. But I think I like it, and I think it'll work on screen, if you know what I mean. But I'm not 100% sold on it overall. There are bits I like I like the coat. Mm-hmm. Do like the coat. I think what it is I can't quite get past the trousers.
Right.
With big turn-ups and not being long enough. And so I don't know. I think they're supposed to be a bit Troughton-esque, a bit like unfitted and baggy. And I don't know. I think I like it. I mean, I've seen this image 1,000 times already because it just went everywhere, which was great. It's lovely to see. Every time I open Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, it was there. It was everywhere when it got released. So, I think I like it, but I think I like bits of it more than other. But I think it'll look great on screen. But yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting either, which is, maybe a good thing.
Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting it because we'd seen a kind of costume already, in the little reveal that they did at Wimbledon. Her first little bit that we saw. She had a very different look. She had like a hoodie on and
a dark coat.
Yeah, so for some reason I thought they were just going to tweak that a little bit. That was going to be her look. They were just going to change a couple of bits, but they've gone very, very, they've ditched that look completely, it seems.
Yeah.
And they've gone for something like this. I like you, mate. I think I like it. The only thing for me is that it does remind me of like an early 80s children's TV presenter sort of look. If you think back to Rainbow and, that kind of early BBC kids.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's very that kind of feel. But I mean, for me, the coat's the best bit. I love the coat. It looks really good.
Like the coat.
And I think they've incorporated a little bit of Tom Baker's scarf colours in the colour scheme. Yeah, so the stripes that run across her top and the colour of her braces, they do have that beigey, very pastel-y, muted colour scheme.
That's true,
from Baker's scarf. And and then the boots are okay. But like you, it's the braces and the trousers, mate. It's okay. I mean, I think people will love it after a couple of episodes. I think once we've seen her in it, doing her thing in the TARDIS and out and about in it and stuff, I think it will be one of those things that will, like anything with Doctor Who. This is what I was saying on Twitter the other day, and that is, this is the grand irony of Doctor Who fandom, where, for so long during Moff's era, people were screaming for change. We want change. We want something new and different and cool. And then when the BBC put out this photo of her looking very different, and something very, out there, everyone's like, I hate it. I don't like it. Where's the suit? Where's the, it's crazy. It's so ironic. But for me, I sort of 80%, 85% like it. But there's just a bit of me that, I think it would just take a little bit of getting used to. But
I think the thing is, it's quite busy, isn't it? There's a lot going on there. And I just think, I don't know, because very often the outfit will reflect the Doctor as well. Like, Matt had the bow tie and the tweed jacket, and he was quite geeky and professory. And I thought Jodie was going to be, I don't know, I'm just wondering what it tells us about her Doctor. Is she going to be quite wacky and out there and bubbly? Because I suppose in my head I was sort of building up that that slightly more serious Tennant-y, smarter. I don't know. It's just it's just not what I expected. But I do like it. I'm with you on the fact that I think I could do without the braces, and the trousers don't really work for me. But I, like you said, I think they'll work great on screen, and they're bound to give a variations on it throughout the series, aren't they? I would assume.
Maybe,
there is one thing worrying me though. I've only just noticed this. Surprisingly, it's not a hoodie, is it? Because I'm done with the hoodies.
I think
it's not a hoodie, is it?
Well, I don't know, but from the photo, it does look like.
It does look a bit like a hoodie, because I like the coat, but I've just realised it's got like a big.
Yeah, I think
I think I can imagine a hood behind that, so that's a bit worried. I like the boots. I think the boots are rocking. I do like the boots. Yeah. So overall, I'm giving it a thumbs up, mate. I'm just not 100% sold on it.
Well, do you know what? I think the BBC are okay with that. I think it's one of those times where they're actually okay with a bit of division and a bit of criticism, because it gives Chris Chibnall the opportunity to come in and say, look, I know you're all. You went mad about the costume and you weren't sure, but once Series 11 is done, I think you'll love it. And so I think, because normally the BBC can be a bit cagey, but I think they're kind of looking for that, because it's such a big change up with the show overall. I think fans talking about it, either negatively or positively, as long as the fandom's talking about it, that's a good thing. So I think, I think they're okay with it. But yeah, like you, thumbs up overall. It's just a couple of bits that, will take a bit of getting used to, I think. What about the TARDIS then, mate? Because that's changed a bit. What do you reckon?
To be honest, I'm more unsure about the TARDIS than I am the costume.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I don't know. It looks a bit cobbled together. And they're a bit like the costume. There are bits of it I love. For example, the lamp and the new signage at the top.
Yeah.
Love that. But there are other bits I don't like. I'm not sure about the handle being on the left on the portal open sign. That just looks weird. I don't like the fact the actual prop might look different, but it looks a very dark, a much darker shade of blue.
Right.
And I don't really like that. But the weird thing is I didn't like the one we've had, with Capaldi, because that was too light. Do you know what I mean? Something in the middle, like the McCoy TARDIS. Well, that's quite dark, I suppose, but I don't know. It's a little bit. I hope the prop isn't quite that dark, because it reminds me a bit of towards Colin Baker's. Towards his last series, it was all this battered, and they obviously gave it a paint job, and it was really dark blue, and I really didn't like that.
Oh, okay. Right.
If you look at it in Vengeance on Varys, I hate the colour of the TARDIS in that. And this reminds me slightly of going back towards that, and I don't really like it. So, yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I think I'd like it if they just put that door handle on the other side. I don't know why, but it really bugs me. It looks out of place. It just looks wrong.
Right.
I know it's a silly thing, but I think if they just smooth it, because they've changed the actual pull to open sign from white. Was it white? Yeah, white to black, which is very Pertwee-like and Troughton-like TARDIS. Yeah. So I like that. That's cool. A good change. Mm-hmm. We've got these funny little lines at the top and the bottom of the TARDIS. I'm not sure what they are.
Oh, on the pillars on the corner.
What do you call them? They're like rivets, or
they're like little. I know what you mean, like little sort of carved out straight lines around the columns and the Twitter. Yeah.
Weird. So I don't know, mate. I'm very unsure about that. Again, I think it will look good on screen, and I think the changes are interesting in a good way.
Right.
But I don't know. It just looks a bit. I'm not sure about it. It looks a bit cobbled together to me. It looks like he's picked all the bits that he liked from different TARDISes, shoved them together, and it hasn't quite worked for me. But I don't know. I think it would look good on screen.
Yeah, I really like this TARDIS.
I thought you would. Yeah, I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, I really like it. It's got a classic feel to it.
Yeah.
It definitely feels more classic Who. And I like the black sign with the white text on there. It looks good. I like the lamp at the top. It looks quite cool. But in terms of the colour, I wouldn't really pay too much attention from this photo. The reason, this photo, because it's like a sunset image, and this picture's been treated quite heavily. It does have like a very orange, yellowy hue to everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So I don't think it's a true representation of of what the colour's going to be. I think it might be slightly lighter than what we're looking at here, because they've darkened it down a bit on the front because it's in shadow, and on the other side they've just drenched it in sort of yellow and orange colours because it's a sunset thing. But no, I really like it. It's got a slightly different shape as well. It feels a bit wider and not so tall and thin like Capaldi's TARDIS. But I like it, mate. I think it's going to be good. Like you, I'm not sure on the handle on that side, but it's no biggie really. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I thought you would. I do like it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just that it didn't. I remember when Matt Smith's TARDIS was unveiled. Right. Like I saw some shots of it, before, we're filming pictures before Series 5 Ed, and I was just like, yes, I loved it, because the St. John's ambulance badge had been put back on, which I always loved, and that's been taken off on this new one, which is a little bit sad. It's not there anymore. And the windows, they'd done that funny thing of sort of blocking out a couple of the windows, to sort of break them up a bit. And I thought, that's good, because the original TARDIS had that, where the windows weren't all the same. You had a couple that sort of broke up. So I loved the little tweaks that Moffat did. I just always thought, it looked a bit too blue, and if anything, it got too light towards the end of the series, Capaldi's era. I think the one I liked best was, in terms of since the show came back, was in I think it was the Christmas special to Snowman. Do you remember it was Matt's TARDIS, but it was sort of a bit battered and a bit weathered, and I thought, good, cool. That looks good. It looks a bit, it looks like it's travelled a bit. And then it just went back to being painted all pristine, shiny blue for Capaldi, and I was like, no. So this is a sort of in between. I don't know. I kind of like it. I got to say though, without jumping ahead, having watched the TV movie, McGann movie last night, that I think might be my favourite TARDIS we've had on the show. My God, that prop looks amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. I couldn't stop. Every time it was on screen, I was like, that's how the TARDIS should look. It looks chunky, solid, weathered. I think it's almost perfect, the McGann TARDIS.
You're not wrong,
in the
mate.
TV movie. Yep. So every time I sort of compare, if I was to put McGann's TARDIS next to this, I think it blows it out the water, to be honest. But that's good. Anyway, anyway, I do like it, and as I said, I think I'm looking forward to seeing the actual thing, rather than this sort of photoshopped image that we've got. Yeah.
And just lastly, I think the designers have been quite clever with the overall look, because if you look at the colour of her top and trousers, the inside lining of the coat, what they've done is I think they've tweaked the colour of the TARDIS just slightly to reflect that. It's got that very common theme of those, that they've shifted the blue, basically. They've moved it towards this sort of lighter type of blue, and I think the TARDIS reflects her costume a little bit. So they've been quite clever with all that stuff, but we'll see.
That's just a good point, actually. I hadn't noticed that. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes, indeed. Right. In other news, Sylvester McCoy is joining the cast of a show called Sarah and Duck on CBeebies. Now, you've got kids, mate. This means nothing to me. Do you know Sarah and Duck?
I don't. My son...
I thought you might.
My son's a bit old for this. I think this is on CBeebies, so this is like preschool. Well, not preschool, but like, infant school type of thing. Yeah. So, I mean, this is quite cool, because this is kind of what David Tennant did for a while, and still does, because he was a big fan of voiceover for kids shows. And I think McCoy also suits that kind of, wacky, he's perfect for
got
sort
the
of
personality.
Cartoony kids type of voice. So, I think this is cool, because I think Tennant, he recently joined the relaunch of the DuckTales cartoon.
Oh, I remember DuckTales.
And then before that, he did like Postman Pat and this other thing about Thornberries and stuff. I can't remember the name of the thing. And then I think he did the Pirates animated film for kids.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So it really, I mean, certain actors, especially people like Tennant and especially McCoy, they've just got that real kind of childish inner kid nature about them. So this is really cool. And this program, Sarah and Duck, to be honest, I'd never even heard of it, let alone thought what age group it was. But I don't know when this is going out. I think it's it starts really soon. yesterday, in fact. Started yesterday, yeah. So if you're a big fan of McCoy and you enjoy his wacky voice, I wonder if he's going to roll any R's in this.
Oh, I surely it's a must. I was going to say it's a BAFTA award-winning series apparently, so it's obviously got a good fan base out there. Yeah, I don't know. I hope he's going to be. It sounds like they had a lot of fun when they were recording because he's playing somebody called Comet, or he might even be playing a Comet. I'm not sure, right. But it says there's a little thing here that says Sylvester's performance as Comet in Comet's Coming provided such a thrill for the animation team to bounce off when animating. McCoy's playful voice delivery created such fun on screen, energy, and fitted perfectly with the unpredictable tone that we strive for in every Sarah and Duck. So like that, I think says it all. I think it sounds like they had a blast recording with him. And it's, I don't know, it's about Sarah and her duck that seem to go out and have all these adventures. And they, this is the first episode that he's in, which is called Comet's Coming. They obviously discover a comet and all kicks off from there. So, yeah.
Good times.
I'd actually quite like to see it, just to hear McCoy doing what he does. I might try and just track this first episode down just for fun.
Just for fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. More news, more sad news. I'm fed up with sad news. We had enough of it last week. But Scott Fredericks, who played Boaz in Day of the Daleks, and also Stahl in Image of the Fendal, has sadly passed away at the age of 74. The Image of the Fendal, that's a kind of a strange old story, that one.
It's a funny one. I think I like it. Gosh, it's a long time since I've seen it. I'm trying to picture him in it because it's a long time since I watched it. I recognise him from Blake 7, of course, because he was in an episode of that. So when I looked at the picture, I immediately thought, oh, it's him from Weapon. I remember him more for Blake 7, but Day of the Daleks, we did that one recently. I just can't picture him in it, but he is an actor that when you see his face, I think, he's done many things. I definitely recognise him from other shows as well.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably recognise him more from Blake 7, but I remember him in Image of the Fendal, that Tom Baker story. But yeah, it's just sad news again because we had a couple of people pass away that we noted last week. So So Scott Fredericks sadly passes.
Okay, well, I'll follow that with some good news, some really nice news, is that Children in Need's on its way this Friday. So that'll be the evening that this podcast goes out. So Friday the 17th. And there's going to be a preview of this year's Doctor Who Christmas special. They normally do it in the first hour or so of the show. And it's really nice. I mean, it's quite a tradition, isn't it, to get something Doctor Who related in Children in Need. And it's I genuinely think this is a great cause, and it's good to sit and watch it anyway. But it's nice that they put the Doctor Who bit early on, for younger viewers and stuff. But fantastic that we're getting a clip. I do, however, miss the days when we got little specially filmed things. Do you remember Time Crash?
Yes, with Davison.
I believe I'm right in saying was a Children in Need one.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Which was such a great little mini-sode, wasn't it? It's brilliant with David Tennant and Peter Davison.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm not complaining, mate. I'm not complaining because it would just be great to see a little preview clip of the Christmas special. And there's some nice photos that were taken, I don't know when, of Capaldi, Phil Mackey and David Bradley sporting Christmas hats inside the TARDIS holding Pudsey Bear. And there's some great ones of Capaldi with Pudsey as well. So, yeah, it's very heartwarming, isn't it? And it's a very worthy program. It's a very worthy cause, and it's just lovely to have Doctor as part of that. So I'll be there. I should be waiting for that clip. I'm really quite excited about it, actually.
Absolutely, yeah. So it starts at 7:30 here in the UK.
Yeah,
and like you said, mate, they normally put it on quite early. It's normally within the first hour at some point. You never know exactly when, but normally they just whoever's presenting it this year. It's normally like Lenny Henry or what's her face?
It used to be Terry. What's her face? It used to be Terry Wogan. Lenny Henry's Red Nose Day.
Oh, Red Nose Day. Sorry.
Yeah, it used to be Sir Terry.
That's right.
Who did they have last year? Because he wasn't.
I'm gonna say. Oh no, I think who presented Big Brother initially. What's their name?
Oh, Davina.
Davina, or she Red Nose Day as well?
Please do not swear.
Yeah.
I can't remember, mate.
This is atrocious. Well,
I must admit, I do get them a bit muddled, those shows. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's might be Fern
Cotton. Yeah, I want to say Jonathan Ross as well, but I think he was Red Nose as well. Blimey.
I think he's Red Nose, yeah, because he's a bit blue.
Anyways,
a little bit blue, a little bit edgy.
Somebody, whoever's going to present it, they normally just, just out the blue, it's like, right now, Doctor, and then you're into it. So you do have to sit and watch for a while for it to come on. But yeah, a great cause, as you say, and it'll be really good to see. You never know how long the preview is as well. Sometimes it's just under 10 minutes. Other times it's like 3 minutes. So you have to sort of roll the dice, I suppose. And yeah.
Yeah, but it's always exciting, isn't it? You say, oh, here it is. Because like you said, you never know when it's coming. So you sit there thinking, oh, will it be next? Will it be next?
Yeah.
That's why I miss old Tell. Because he used to go, now then.
That's
Dr.
right.
Who.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, bless.
So, yeah, Children in Need, mate, this Friday. If you're listening to our podcast on launch day, it'll be later on this evening. Otherwise, you missed it. But I'm sure it'll be online somewhere.
It'll be on iPlayer or something, won't it?
Yes. Yeah. That's news. I suppose it's time to get in our rusty friend.
It looks like he's got a few bits on that tray. Look at him waiting to come in. What's he got?
Yeah, he's...
Come on over. Come on.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
This first bit, I think, looks awesome.
This is a little bit lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is just a little bit nice.
Our Dalek Tat has outdone himself this week.
Yeah. Oh, look at his little lights flashing.
I know. He's
all excited.
He is.
He's gone all the way over to Germany to get this.
Yeah, bugger off now. Go on. Idiot. Right. First bit, like I said, looks really good. It looks so good, but I don't want to pay this amount of money for it. But it does look really
I haven't
good.
even seen the cost yet. I bet not look anymore.
So our German friends over in Germany, they're getting a really cool Seventh Doctor special box set, collector's edition book and bunch of DVDs as part of the McCoy 30th anniversary. And it's like you remember the box set that they brought out called Regenerations?
Yeah, I thought it was like that. Yeah,
it's that kind of size box, and inside it's got a really big sort of anniversary book. This 52-page book.
What do they call it? Like coffee table book, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a landscape type of format where it's just got loads of really nice photos and information. And it goes through each of the McCoy stories, and it's got loads of write-ups on each one and so on. It looks really nice. And on top of that, there's also 17 DVDs. So all of the McCoy DVDs with over 24 hours worth of bonus material across the entire McCoy era. And it's also got the extended version of Silver Nemesis, which... Yeah.
Gasp. That's actually never been released in the UK. They said they couldn't do it because of copyright stuff.
There you go.
Because an American company funded it, I think.
You are correct.
Oh.
Yes. So, yeah, it's got the extended 84-minute Silver Nemesis edition, plus the 80-minute Andrew Cartmel interview that goes along with it, where he talks through Silver Nemesis and just, all of that stuff and the Seventh Doctor in general. And yeah, it's just, oh mate, it looks absolutely fantastic. And the only thing is, it's limited to 1,000 pieces, which isn't too bad. I think, if you went on there and, because it's still available now, so I'm pretty sure they'll be able to, you should be able to grab one. If you order one before the 19th of November, then you get your name added to the credits on the bonus disc.
Really?
Which is cool.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know that.
And it looks really nice. Now, English fans, although the front is in German, the actual book and the DVDs are in English as well.
Oh, good.
Yes. So you don't have to worry about that stuff, because it does actually say on the actual website, not on the Doctor Who News website, but on the actual website for the company that's selling it, it does say that in addition to all the adventures in German and English versions, the 17 DVDs, all the bonus material, everything is subtitled in both languages as well. So I'm assuming that on the DVD menus, you can select the language.
Yeah, to select audio navigation.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And you can also select the subtitle. So I don't want to say 100% that they're all in, they're in English. However, it does suggest that on the website. It does say that they're all in English and German versions, and there's subtitles, so you can select them and so on.
So where can us British fans get this, and how much is this beautiful thing?
Yes. Also, just one more thing. There is also a special documentary we haven't seen before called Doctor Who 7th Doctor Revisited, which is also it sounds like an awesome set. It's got so much in it.
Why is this now? I'm sorry, but why is this a German release and not a UK? Or why is it not available in the UK? Or do you think there's any chance at all that we might get this in the UK? Because it is just, the artwork's beautiful, the effort that's gone into it. Because Andrew Cartmel seems to be very heavily involved. He's apparently this 52-page book that comes with it. He's done like a piece on every single story, which is all new. He's done notes for all the stories on it. He's involved in this new interview that was filmed for it, or is included on it. So yeah, why so much effort gone into it? But not that I begrudge German fans having it. Fantastic, but why have we not got it in the UK? Because it looks, I want this next to my Regeneration set. Basically, I really, really want this. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it does look absolutely brilliant, and I love the way that they have all of the DVDs in like this color coded. So each story's
everything about it looks brilliant.
It looks bloody brilliant, and. The book, I'm just looking at a zoomed in picture of the book, and it's got like the double page spread open for disc 1, which is Time and the Rani. And what it's got Time and the Rani in English in like the big title, and then underneath that it's got the German equivalent. So Terra auf Lacertia, apparently. But then all of the text on the book is all in English.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the title that's in. So I think English fans will be safe with this if you do want it. Now, €150.
Well, the euro is what it is at the moment. That's nearly £150, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a very quick conversion here. Euro, 150. This is at the time of our podcast, obviously. There's no guarantees. 134 quid, roughly.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, I do love this era, though. I love the McCoy era, and the thought of having it all in one beautiful box set like this. But yeah,
God, it looks so good.
What are the chances of it coming out here, though? Is there's no word on it, and I don't. My gut feeling is we won't get it over here. But it's odd because, like you said, all the production notes that Andrew Cartmel's written for it are all in English. So it's, I suppose there is hope, but yeah.
I don't think we're going to get it in the UK, mate. I really don't think so because, and also the DVDs are region free, so they're not locked to the German, the other European region, which is good. Yeah, do you know what, mate? I think it's the company Panda Storm Pictures. They've obviously done an exclusive deal with BBC Worldwide or BBC America, whoever it is, to do it, and it is a damn shame that we don't get these here in the UK. But we whinge about this stuff all the time. Other countries getting cool stuff, but you can't whinge too much because these other countries. The UK isn't just Doctor Who. It's a global international thing. So if these other countries are going to get it, then fair play. That's all good. But you can order it in the UK. All the DVDs will work. You and I own all the DVDs anyway, so that's not really an issue, but it's more just the design, and the book looks awesome. And yeah.
I just would love to see, I mean, because I like that big book style format, like the Regeneration box set, and I'd love to sort of have on my shelf all of them collected in box sets like that. I mean, I know once we get to the Tom Baker era, we're looking at probably 5 or 6 box sets, but it would just be lovely to, can you imagine your shelf just all lined up of these lovely, just be beautiful with all the, with all this wonderful artwork and notes on the stories and in that lovely box. And it would be a dream, but who knows? You never know, though. I think, the BBC will be looking at ways that they can resell us stuff we've already got. So, I think this would be a good way to go. If you're going to try and tempt me to buy them again, then this is the way to go.
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah, it's really nice.
And I know we should move on, but just to dangle the carrot a little bit closer, it does include the extended edit of Battlefield as well.
Oh, just when I was beginning to love it. No, I don't mind Battlefield, actually. Yeah, have I got these? Oh, yeah, that's on that. You can get that in the UK, but it's on the UK release. But anyway,
it's all in it. And also the Curse of Fenric. It also includes the movie version, which is everything, is one. Oh, God. Everything that you could, if McCoy is your favourite Doctor, then this is a must. I'm sorry, but it's got everything in here for McCoy. Anything you could want it's in there. So 150 quid, 135 quid. Approx. And just very quickly, also, our German friends are also getting a new project in conjunction with Big Finish, where they're going to release German translations for all of the Doctor Who audio plays. Wow. Yeah, so the German actors are going to be dubbing over the voices or filling in the new voices for the speaking parts and all the audio stuff. The first batch will be the 10th Doctor stuff with Donna, and that'll be out in April next year. So our German friends are going to be in for a cool time for Who from now up until, it's really good stuff.
Very nice. Right, I'm going to stop looking at that now. I've got to move away from it for a splash the cash. Right, in a much more reasonably priced release, the Doctors, the William Hartnell Years DVD is out this week. This follows on from, we've had the Second Doctor, Third Doctor, and Fourth Doctor so far. It's through Koch Media, so it's not a BBC release. And basically, what it is you get 2 discs, and they've cobbled together all the interviews from the Mythmaker series that relate to that Doctor. So on this release, we've got who have we got? I know Carol Ann Ford's on there, and William Russell, Jacqueline Hill. My goodness, I haven't seen an interview with her for some time. Peter Purvis, Jackie Lane's on there. Oh wow! So some great interviews on there. And I've got the other releases. I've got the second, third, and fourth, and they normally retail for around about $9.99, which is good because you get 2 discs, and they're interesting. I mean, the interview, and I mean that in a good way, because when people say, "Oh, very interesting," it often sounds bad. I've really enjoyed watching through these interviews. They vary in quality. Some are better than others, but they're interesting because they're quite often with people that you may not. That didn't get interviewed very often, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so, we had Ian Marter on the Tom Baker release, and there's stuff like that. So I haven't managed to get this one yesterday. Funnily enough, I phoned my local HMV yesterday because I got this unexpected day off. I was going to blitz into town and get it if they'd got it, and I spoke to a very nice chap who spent ages going through his whole shelf of Doctor Who DVDs. And he's like, "Oh no, I can't see it." Looked at his computer, tap, tap, tap. He's like, "Oh, it was released this week." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh yeah, we did get one." I was like, "Oh, you've got it." He said, "No, but we sold it." I was like, "Oh no."
Of course. Yeah.
He said, "We only got 1 copy and we sold it." I was like, "Okay then." So I didn't bother going into town, obviously. But yeah, I will be picking this up. The other releases have been really good, and as I said, for a tenner. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong. It's great. It's just a nice little insight into people, from each era of each Doctor, and it's good value. It
is good value, and it is out now. As you say, it is $9.99 on Amazon if that's your cup of tea. And it looks really good. I'll have to start picking these up. 2 discs.
They are good.
5 hours worth of content. It's good value.
Yeah, I like the John Pertwee one was the first one they released. It's quite funny, and he's sort of been interviewed in a hotel, and he's got this funny sculpture thing behind him, which he keeps playing with, which really messes up the continuity. And I think it's Nick Briggs that's interviewing him, and he's like, "Oh, please stop playing with that." So of course that encourages him to do it even more. But they're good, mate. They're worth picking up for a tenner. Yeah, they're good.
And Nick Briggs does the intro on this one. So.
Yeah, he's quite heavily involved in quite a lot of it. Yeah.
Moving on, Doctor Who magazine. The new issue should be out now as we're recording. It's normally out on a Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a special feature with David Bradley, which
nice
is
cover
unusual.
Too.
Really nice cover, yeah. Because normally, Doctor Who magazine, it features somebody from like a main actor or a main, you know what I mean. It's normally one of so it's quite unusual to feature. Mind you, he has been doing his thing, hasn't he, David Bradley? we had him in.
He's really come into it, hasn't he, recently?
Yeah.
You know, like in terms of the spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, just as I was saying it, actually, sort of jogged my own brain there. But yeah, because he's also in Big Finish coming up soon, isn't he?
Yeah.
As the first Doctor. So yeah, it's probably not that out of left field, I suppose. But yeah, like you say, it's a great cover. And there's a nice quote on there that says, "I've got to capture his spirit and energy," which is essential, I would say, if you're going to act out the Doctor as played by William Hartnell. So yeah, that'll be out today. I'm definitely going to pick this one up. Very interested to hear what Mr. Bradley has said about the Christmas special and his performance as the first Doctor.
I love the fact that he's like embraced the role, isn't he? He's absolutely loving it. And it's funny because if you'd have told me probably a year ago or whatever, or a couple of years ago, that they were going to recast the first Doctor in the actual show. I mean, it's one thing having him in a drama documentary, but if you told me they were going to put him into the main show, I probably would have been like, no. Even though we got Richard Hundrell and stuff, I just wouldn't go there because I just think it's slightly disrespectful to William Hartnell. But I have to say, I don't feel like that, and I think it's because I love David Bradley. I don't know. There's something about him, and I just think he's very good casting as the first Doctor. He may, he will never get two people the same. He will never be William Hartnell. You just can't do it.
No,
but I think he's a good choice for somebody, to be the first Doctor. So yeah, I subscribe, so it'll be folded and dropping through my letterbox any day now. But yeah, funny enough, I want to ask you, because you pick up the Doctor Who magazines, the ones you want. You don't, you just get every now and again when somebody on it you want to read about. And few people have said there's been a bit of a dip in quality since the new editor took over, and I'm not sure. I mean, I'm still quite enjoying reading it, but it does seem, and again, this comes back to what we we're talking about the other week about the BBC, axing certain certain articles in it and stuff. It does seem to be getting a bit thinner on the ground in terms of its content, but it's not. I don't think it's down to the new editor. I think it's down to sort of changes that are being forced upon them. So I'm still really enjoying it. I mean, I always love it when a new issue of Doctor Who magazine comes through the letterbox. It's just like something to look forward to every month. But I don't know. I really like the cover on this. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking more about the cover than the content, which tells you everything. But I know in the past, me and you have said like, oh man, look at the cover on this. Tom Spilsbury, when he was editor, now some of the covers that they did, were amazing.
Brilliant.
I'm thinking of the fold out one with all the Daleks on and stuff like that. And they've definitely taken a more simpler style, I would say, of late. Like the McCoy one, they had quite an unusual picture. I liked it, but the background was very simple. And there was a special out recently, which was really, really good, but the cover was awful. It just had a picture of Capaldi on the front. I mean, it didn't grab you at all. But I like this cover. I think it's a nice picture of them.
It is good. Yeah, somebody put on Twitter the other day about the recent covers. So McCoy, the David Tennant one, and the one before that. I can't remember which one was before that, and they're all very similar. They're quite basic and stuff. But this is a little bit different. It's a good cover, but I wonder if there will be any coded messages in this one.
No, I don't think so. They've probably checked it with a little magnifying glass. I should say they've probably gone through it word by word. I should think.
Yeah. So there we go.
There we go. So there's one more piece of merch on his tray. Time of the Daleks, a new board game, new Doctor Who board game, which is coming out. When's this out? Is it coming out in time for Christmas?
It's out now.
Oh, it's actually out now. All right, I haven't seen it anywhere yet.
Yes.
So basically, it's officially licensed. Become a Time Lord and avoid being deleted from time by the Daleks. That sounds more like a Cyberman thing. Deleted. Travel through time, meeting companions and having adventures. Includes models of the 1st, 4th, 11th and 12th Doctors, plus Davros and the Daleks. Semi-cooperative game, play for 4, it says. So, yeah, I don't know. Doctor Who board games, they vary, don't they? As long as it's nothing too complicated, because there's nothing worse than getting a game that looks great and reading the instructions and just falling asleep before you've got to the end of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the box is nice. It's got Capaldi and it's got a bit of a Day of the Doctor thing going on there, isn't it? With Smith and Tennant. It's got all the Doctors on the front, actually, and some Daleks blowing up in the corner, and the TARDIS. Minus. Oh, no, there is the St. John's Ambulance. Yeah, packaging's nice. Board game looks interesting. It says duration 2 hours. So if you've got 2 hours to spare. What's the price on it? Let's have a look.
40 quid.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. That'll have to come down.
Yeah, plus 4 quid delivery from Amazon.
No, that'll have to come down before I buy that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It does look quite cool. It's like a circular design and you have lots of cards and stuff and various little figures. I just want to give you a rundown of how, just very quickly, it says, starting with the earliest regeneration of the Doctor and moving clockwise, each player takes their turn. After each player has their turn, the Daleks then have a turn. This process repeats until either one or more players wins the game or the Daleks win the game. And if you go onto the website, which is doctorwho.gf9games.com, there is a nice link at the top that says how to play, and it does go through all the steps for each turn and what you need to do and so on. It looks okay. Definitely not £40 worth of okay, but
I was going to say, I'm hoping there's more in the box than what I'm looking at now.
There is,
but
yeah.
Nice picture of Sutek, but the actual packaging and stuff looks nice, but that'll have to come down. If anyone's listening to this thinking, I'd like to, Gary is very good at. Gary always puts links to the stuff we talk about on the Big Blue Box website. So if you want to see any of this stuff that we're always talking about, especially go and have a look at that lovely. I'm still thinking about it. Doctor box set. Just go and I can't start thinking about it. Just go to the Big Blue Box website because Gary does all the links in the notes for each podcast. So it's very handy.
Indeed.
If you want to see what we're banging on about.
Yeah, what are you guys banging on about?
Yeah.
That's going to do for news and merch. Wow, that was a lot to get through.
We had some good stuff there, didn't we? Some nice stuff.
We did. Right. The Revisits roller coaster. Still thundering along. We're in week 3. Now, what does that mean?
This week, yes, we're revisiting the Paul McGann TV movie.
Timing malfunction. The master. He's out there.
You have 2 hearts. Who are you?
I am the Doctor.
He's taken most of my regenerations.
By midnight tonight, this planet will be pulled inside out. There will be nothing left.
No way.
This way.
This is his last chance to stay alive, and you know it.
What do you know of last chances?
More than you.
Their voices sound wrecked by the end of this story, don't they? Especially McGann's. It just sounds like he's been ripping his throat out. Another take, please, Paul. Another take. Oh, the throat.
A lot of shouting, is it? Yeah.
And Eric Roberts giving it everything. Yeah.
Right. The TV movie, McGann, it was first broadcast back in 1996.
Wow. Gosh.
Slightly different broadcast dates depending on where you were. If you're in Canada, you got it on the 12th of May. If you're in the US, you got it on the 14th. And us minions in the UK had to wait until the 27th of May to see it. It was written by Matthew Jacobs. It was directed by Jeffrey Sachs, and it obviously starred Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. McCoy makes an appearance at the beginning, and then we have our friend Dashni as Grace, Yi Ji So as Chang Li, often referred to as the other companion, companion number 2, and Eric Roberts as the Master.
The Master.
So when we revisited, when did we first do this? It was back in 2015, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it feels like a while ago. I think we did it not long before we interviewed Dash. I actually genuinely did it then. Yeah. I didn't even mean to say it. Daphne Ashbrook.
Yes, it was back in episode 47.
Wow, yeah. Can you remember what we said then? Because I'm thinking, when you put this on the one to sort of revisit, I was thinking, what was our views back then? Because I think we gave it a sort of liked but not amazing or something, or we both liked it, but we there were issues with it, and I can't quite remember.
Yeah, it was a while ago. When was it? 26th of June 2015.
Right,
is when we reviewed it, and I've got the scores in front of me.
Oh yeah, okay.
You gave it an 8,
Oh.
And I gave it a 7.
Interesting. Be interesting to see, because I've got my score written down. I won't change it, but it'd be interesting to see how that compares then.
Yes. So the plot is thus... just to note, this film is canon.
It is canon, yes.
It is definitely canon, because some fans have... when I've spoken to a couple of Who fans who had not seen the movie because they'd heard bad things about it, they assumed it was an isolated, almost spin-off story to Doctor Who, but it is in fact considered completely canon. It's often bundled in with Classic Who because it appears before the 2005 regeneration. And the story is the Doctor is transporting the Master back to Gallifrey. I think it is back to Gallifrey, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's been on trial, hasn't he?
He's been on trial. He's been a naughty boy, as usual. And he's requested that the Doctor specifically takes him back to Gallifrey. But en route in the TARDIS, he escapes. So the TARDIS malfunctions, crashes on Earth. The Master escapes. The Doctor gets shot. He then regenerates into our 8th Doctor, as we know now, Paul McGann. Gets kind of collided into the storyline with Grace. She reluctantly helps him, and then they team up, and the Master's basically trying to take over the Doctor's regenerations. And there's a big showdown in the TARDIS, and yeah, that's roughly the story.
That's pretty much, isn't it? Once I want that body.
Yeah. So yeah, and the Master's quite sneaky, you know. He especially to Yiji. Keep calling him Yiji. Chang Li, his character name. Basically paints the Doctor as this villain, and he's stolen the Master's regenerations, and now he needs to get it back. It's essentially a good old Doctor Master story.
Yeah.
Right. Normally we'd say, what do you think? We do a summary. We've already done that. Let's crack into some important elements of the story. Now, this does have a very, very different feel to anything else you've seen.
Definitely.
You know, I think we commented on some of this stuff when we reviewed it originally, that this was meant to set up a new series, wasn't it? This was meant to be like a feature-length, almost pilot, if you like, for Paul McGann's Doctor.
Yeah.
The idea behind it was they wanted to get this out there so that they could get some interest back in the public for Doctor Who. And then on the back of this, they were hoping to then fly into a new series of Doctor Who starring Paul McGann. That was the intention, if memory serves. However, reasons being what they were, and I can't remember for the life of me, because I remember watching a couple of making-ofs about this ages ago, and I can't remember, but there was a reason why this didn't materialize into a series. I think it might have just been that the viewing figures for this just wasn't what they were hoping for. There wasn't enough oomph for them to be like, yeah, you're right, you know, people do want more Doctor Who, let's absolutely crack on. I don't think there was enough, and I think the reviews weren't as good as they were hoping for as well.
Yeah, I think when it went out, it didn't. Yeah, it just was a bit of it got a lukewarm reception, and the viewing figures were disappointing in terms of US rating figures, I think.
Yeah.
So it just didn't do enough for them to commission a whole series. You know, it sort of did what a pilot's job. You know, I suppose that's one thing we forget. They make a pilot. If that does well, then yeah, we'll crack on. But it didn't do as well as they thought, and so it's just like this little standalone oddity, which just is out there, really.
Yeah. And it was a co-production thing. So Doctor Who that we know and love, the classic and modern Doctor Who, is BBC Wales, BBC Worldwide, I think. And I think that's it. There's a Canadian company linked to it as well. But it's basically a British-made show, you know, that we know and love, made in Cardiff. Whereas this one was a joint produced thing between BBC Worldwide, Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, and the TV network, Fox, as well. So like quite a few people.
Big names, quite big, companies involved in that, to be honest. So that may be like, why there was big high expectations, because you've got big companies like that and it's coming in with whatever it was, 5.6 million viewers in the US. They're probably like, whoa, no chance. I mean, it did better here. It received over 9 million viewers when it was shown here just a couple of days later, which I think is quite good, because if memory serves me right, the video for this came out in the UK before it was shown on TV. I'm pretty sure I remember thinking that was a really strange choice, because I'm sure the first time I watched this was on video. I remember going out and buying it and then thinking, oh, this will be on the TV next week. So that was a strange choice, because normally you wouldn't release the video first because you'd want the viewing figures bigger. So over 9 million here is pretty good, really. I mean, even for back then. That's pretty decent
for back then, and it came out on VHS. I think it was like 3 and a bit weeks before they put it out on the telly. And we did. I mean, like you say, it did a lot better here than it did over in the US, and it was out in cinemas in a few countries as well. I think I read somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it did go out.
Yeah, I'm just reading here. Apparently, hundreds of fans queued in London at midnight to order. In order to buy a copy of this when it came out on video. So it was actually released before it was shown on TV. They were trying to sort of capitalize on it. So can you imagine that? If he was queuing at midnight to get a Doctor Who release, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool, because that sort of stuff's normally reserved for like Star Wars
or some silly computer game.
So that's really cool. So based on those things, it does have a different feel to it, obviously. The first thing is it's not made and produced in the UK anywhere. It is an American, or a Canadian, should I say, production, because it was filmed in Canada. And it does have that. Anyone that's a fan of sort of early 90s or mid-90s TV will recognise the kind of production values immediately. It does have that very typical kind of the next Star Trek, the Next Generation, that kind of American feel.
I think people, like the sort of Buffy people often say that sort of style.
It's got. I mean, it definitely has that movie feel to it, because it is it's not a typical story that you'd see from classic Who. It's definitely a film, definitely made to be a feature-length film. It does have that production value that you can see that they've pumped some money into the look and feel of it. It does have that feel.
But I think it's something that, you're saying about the different feel of it. I think that's what puts some people off, puts some people off liking it, and also some people even watching it. It's because they hear, it doesn't feel like Doctor Who. It feels like an American program. And, I think that's often what's said about it. And I do see that. But I also think there are things in it that that actually help to not make it so dated. Because I think you're right, it definitely has that sort of feel of that era of the 90s, the way television was made. But on the other hand, I think we always say about the soundtrack is fantastic, and that's something that could have really dated this. I think if they'd have put like some cheesy 90s music on it and that would have changed the whole tone. And for me, watching this again last night, I mean, we both love the soundtrack to this. I was just thinking how awesome it is, and it isn't dated. I don't sit there and think, oh, music's a bit cheesy there, or it's a brilliant soundtrack, and it's timeless, because I assume it's sort of proper orchestrated. It doesn't sound like somebody sat on a 90s Korg synth, it's a great soundtrack, and it's beautifully shot and edited as well. I think the production is just beautiful. Really do. I mean, considering it's from that sort of 90s era of television, I think it stands up really, really well.
Absolutely,
personally.
mate. Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head there. I think that's what puts a lot of people off, is the look and feel, and just how it, because we had classic Doctor Who and now modern Doctor Who is all filmed, in the same place with the same, showrunners last for a long time, and and the cast and crew, I think they return a lot for each series, and it's all there's a level of consistency that you're used to across pretty much most of Classic Who. Even if we jump between Doctors, there's still that consistency there that you expect when you watch, an episode of Classic Who or Modern Who. And this is literally pulled out of that. And it's definitely, and I think you're right, that's what puts a lot of people off, because it doesn't feel like the Doctor Who that we know and love. It's got that different edge to it. The only consistency really is we have a British actor playing the Doctor. That's really the only, because everything else is different. Like, they had a new logo made for it. Obviously, a new theme, like you mentioned, and the soundtrack's very different. The
TARDIS interior, which is amazing, but it's totally different.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah.
But the outside, the exterior of the TARDIS is very similar. So the actors, so McCoy, who even looks a lot different than he did when he was in.
He does.
We last saw him in Survival. However, him, McGann, and the TARDIS are the only familiar elements that you would recognise and feel at home with as watching Doctor Who. Even in the script and the story where they mention everything like Gallifrey and Time Lords, and
there's a lot of nods. Watching this again last night, there's a lot of little nods for the fans in there, which is lovely actually, but it wouldn't distract if you didn't know them, would it? But there are loads. There's a lot more than I remembered actually. They throw everything in there that you could think of actually, which I really like. Just stuff like the Jelly Babies, or even just the Doctor giving the TARDIS console a good old whack at the end, harking back to Davison. Loads of lovely little throw-ins there for fans, but wouldn't necessarily distract from a casual viewer.
Yes, yeah. And so although that stuff's in there, some of it's delivered in that kind of American it's got an Americanism around it, because McGann's the only British actor in there. Everyone else, it feels strange when you hear Eric Roberts, talk about himself as the Master, because it's just worlds apart from like Delgado, and it seems like such a removal from what everyone was used to. And it's just the Americanism of it, because if you can get past that, I think that's another barrier that people have as well, because some people, especially UK fans, they do have this very much, Doctor Who is quintessentially British and it should stay British. And, because this is mainly, if you take Paul McGann out of the equation, it's just an American version of Doctor Who. Some people really struggle to get past that. It's almost like a barrier that stops from them enjoying the story.
And I don't really understand it, because I think I can see why it might put some people off, but it is a good, I see it as a good bridging gap between the old classic series and the new series. Because if you watch this, like I did last night, there are a lot of bits in there which I think are very similar to the series we have now, or certainly when it came back in 2005. So I just see it as a nice bridging gap between the two, really, because it's got a nice bit of classic feel to it. It's got like the Sonic in there and loads of little classic bits in there. And then it's also got bits that perhaps at the time were a bit, different, a bit American, a bit too modern or whatever. But it's a nice, it bridges really nicely, I think, to where we are now. One of the big things, of course, is, there's an uproar about the fact the Doctor, kisses Grace in it, and fans hated that and stuff. But then, in modern Doctor Who, blimmin' heck, he kisses everyone, and it's almost gone to the, got ridiculous, really. Obviously, not so much Rick Capaldi, but it's so. I'm not saying introducing the kiss was a good or a bad thing, but you know what I mean. It just, you can see stuff in this which fits much more in with the Doctor Who we have now, So I just see it as a stepping stone, and a nice stepping stone.
No, I agree, mate. It's it definitely does feel like it's a stepping stone as well. It doesn't follow on exactly from Survival. We don't have the Doctor and Ace, finishing up an adventure, and then it doesn't have that link, that immediate link that you could recognise, apart from McCoy reprising his role.
It always surprises me that they had him in it, actually. I don't know about you. I mean, and I'm so glad that they did.
Oh, yeah.
But when they were pitching this to to those big companies like Fox and that, you'd have thought they would want it to start out a bit like we did in 2005 with Eccleston. A little nod to the fact he's had a regeneration, but blinking you'd miss it. And I'm very surprised that they didn't do that with this, like try and start it as a new franchise. A very brave move, I think, and one that I think only fans would appreciate. I mean, I love the fact McCoy's in this at the beginning. I love what he's wearing. I love the fact he looks so at home on that TARDIS set, having his cup of tea, reading his book. It's brilliant. But to a new audience that they're trying to launch the show to back in 1996 in America, maybe because Doctor Who wasn't that big in America back then. It had a fan base, but it wasn't like it is now. So it's a brave move to have, McCoy in there at the start. I think it would have thrown perhaps a lot of new viewers that may have been tuning into what's this Doctor Who program then? What's this Doctor Who pilot?
Yeah.
But I'm so glad they did it. But I think it's more something the fans would appreciate than perhaps the viewers that they were trying to get on board at the time, if you know what I mean. But it's good having him in it. I always wish he was in it more, but then when I watched the program, I think they got it just right. Because you want to get into the McGann story, and so as much as I would have loved more McCoy, I think they got it just right. Actually, it's just I don't like the way he comes out and gets shot. That's the only thing. It does feel like he just comes out. Oh, you're gone now. And that's the only thing. It's a very harsh exit for one of my favourite Doctors. It's a harsh way for him to go. I don't really like it when he steps out of the TARDIS. So I always wince. I'm doing it now, even talking about it. But yeah, I think they got it right in terms of how much he is in it, I think. Yeah,
no, I agree, mate. I think they got it about right because, and one of the things that I do like about this story is how they took risks with certain things. So they could have played this very safe and just kept the very small TARDIS set, for example. They could have just kept the small, confined, very clinical white roundel look and everything, and they could have kept McCoy's look. They could have just put him in his old costume and, and kept that stuff. And also things like the time vortex that we see at the beginning and the end. Which, modern Doctor Who, lent on that heavily with its new intro and all that stuff. I like that. I really like that they took some risks with it because they could have gone really just quiet with it and just been like, this is Doctor Who. But they changed up quite a lot of things. And I know there's a few things in here that aren't quite to fans' taste, like the Doctor being half human.
That's one I still
on his mother's side.
I'm not sure about that. I still, even now watching it last night, was like, I just don't know how I feel about that. I don't really like it, but I don't have a big issue with it like some. But I don't really like it. I'd prefer if it wasn't there. But
see that for me is just a bit of a. I mean, you can tell that this was Matthew Jacobs was probably a bit of a Trekkie. As well as a Who fan, because it's very Spock-esque. Yeah. That whole, half Vulcan, half human. It just screams of sci-fi that has been out for a while already, and it's not a fan. And it also, it kind of you dig yourself into a bit of a hole when you start making statements like that, because it's canon and because it's part of the Who universe. You can't really ignore it too much. I mean, I know that they've tried to explain it in various novels and a couple of Big Finish plays, but it does box you into a corner a little bit. And I know that modern Doctor Who has not really played into that, which is great, because if they started revisiting that, that's a bit ridiculous. But it's just one of those risks that they took, and some of them work and some of them don't. That's one that unfortunately I think unanimously doesn't work. I think a lot, most Who fans would say that the whole half-human thing is probably a bad idea that didn't work too well.
I definitely wouldn't have had it in there. I mean, no. I think the only reason I wasn't so upset as some people at the time was the Master sort of says something, doesn't he, about, that's why he so loves this planet so much. That's why he likes you lots. I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But I definitely wouldn't have put that in there myself. It does still slightly irk me when I know that scene's coming up. Yep. As well. Mm-hmm.
A couple of risks that did work out very well, though, is and I know you love it as well, mate, is the interior for the TARDIS.
Oh, it's beautiful. All of it. The TARDIS set is stunning. I love it.
Brilliant. It's one of
even
the best.
The cloister room as well, and the Iron Harmony room. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's one. See, this is why it's a bit of an oddball, because although it does have that American 90s production feel to it, which is quite removed from Doctor Who, that opening scene where McGann's narrating over it, and you've got McCoy in the TARDIS, and he sat there and he's got the record on, which that really laid back, chilled song, and he's reading The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and he's got his little cup of tea in the saucer. That whole scene there is just brilliant. It's got such a great feel to it, and it does feel like Doctor Who, that bit. It does feel like, this is, in this version of Doctor Who, it does feel like that's what the Doctor would do if he's on a really long journey, and he's obviously taking his time. He's having a chilled out moment while he's on his way. Because I get the feeling that if it was modern Doctor Who and this storyline was taking place now, we would have a lot more action here. The time vortex would be exploding with lightning, and the TARDIS would be thundering down. And but this, it just takes a step back, and you just see the Doctor relaxing, which you rarely see.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, you rarely see the Doctor just chilling out like that, and I like the fact that it says something about nearing the end of his seventh regeneration, doesn't it? And you sort of feel, like you said, McCoy looks a bit older, and he's got as much sort of, I like his costume. It looks a bit more, refined and stuff. And yeah, it's just lovely to see the Doctor just relaxing in this beautiful TARDIS, and because that's, like you said, we don't often get moments like that. We're normally just, and it's, I think because, I love the white roundels and stuff from the classic era, like the Davison console room. I love it, but this is something totally different, and I love it. I love it equally as much.
Yes, and I like McCoy in this as well. I think he gives a really good performance. He's definitely, even though he doesn't have a lot of dialogue in it, you can definitely see there's a glint in his eye. You can definitely see that if we hadn't have stopped at Survival, maybe this is where his character would have ended up. You can definitely see that he had a bit of an input in that, because he maybe that's just the natural thing of just time, and that's no pun intended. But because he looks older as an actor, he looks older. His hair's a bit longer, and he has a slightly different look and feel, and a bit more experience about him. He definitely has that slightly more matured, experienced Doctor. Maybe we would have ended up with that look and feel, perhaps, if we'd have gone down, another 2 or 3 series of Doctor Who in the classic years. And I think he gives a really good performance in it. It's not over the top. It's not crazy and zany, but it does have that quiet confidence about it, that darker feel.
Yeah, like you said, he looks really relaxed and at home, doesn't he? At the beginning, he just looks totally at home in that TARDIS. And yeah, I mean, even the scenes when he's on the operating table, I mean, that's quite, it's like something out of a horror film, that bit. And it's brilliant. And he's really going for it, isn't he? When he's like, they can't get him to go under. They keep giving him more gas, and he's jumping up and kicking the tray. And it's really, and the music adds to it as well. It's really quite horrific, all that stuff going on. And he does it brilliantly. It doesn't feel at any time like pantomime, or, he's really going for it, especially when they're looking down, watching him being operated on, and you just think, oh no, it's a quite a horrific little scene at the beginning there, because that it's all going wrong in front of those people's eyes, and it's strange because 2 minutes before that you've got a sort of almost comical scene of that woman saying, he's on the phone for you, Grace, and all that, and you're like, oh, what? That feels a bit sort of silly, and then you get this bit following it and stuff. But no, I think McCoy absolutely takes what he's given on the page and goes for it, and I think maybe he felt like we did. It was great that they included him. They didn't just sort of wipe, didn't even acknowledge his existence. I think it's really nice that they do the handover from McCoy to McGann.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do want to touch on the music, because it is such a great soundtrack. Yeah, John Debney just did a brilliant version of the theme to begin with. The way it comes in with that sort of loud thumping sound, and then that sort of the string section comes in, and then we have the piano bit and stuff. Again, it's not a fan favorite, but I really, really like it.
I like it.
And it really suits the intro as well. It just all fits nicely. And the music throughout, it's got this real kind of gothic, church organ-y type of feel to it as we go through the film as well. Completely unlike anything that we've seen or heard since, really. But I love it. I love the soundtrack, and I really want to pick it up as a single release, because I know they released it as part of the 50th anniversary collection back in 2014. But you can pick it up as a single release as well.
It's a strange one, because apparently it's just a promo, so it's quite hard to find. So they did like this promo pressing, which wasn't an official release, but you could sort of get it. So it's got promotional use only on the back of it or something. So but it never got like an official release. So it's a bit of a strange one until, like you said, they released that giant box set and they included it. But obviously, if you want it just as a standalone, you can still pick it up. It does appear now and again on eBay and stuff. So it's worth tracking down, because it's a beautiful soundtrack. I mean, like you said, you've got all the build up with the organ music at the end with the clock counting down. That's amazing. You've got bits that stood out to me watching it again last night, like when McGann's walking through just after he's burst out of the morgue, and there's this sort of like echoed harpsichord as he's looking around the really quiet, lovely little moments like that. And it's a beautiful score. I just can't say it enough. I absolutely love it, and every time I watch it, I just think it really adds to the atmosphere. Like even the bits where the Snake Masters, about to go down Eric Roberts' throat and get that horrible alien scene. I mean, that's a great scene as well. Even that, there's this foreboding, deep, dark, scary music that's really subtle and just builds that tension. It's fantastic soundtrack.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about a couple of characters then. So what did you think? Because the supporting cast in this are kind of few and far between, aren't they? They kind of pop up at various points throughout. Like we have the young chap working at the morgue at the beginning. He's watching Frankenstein.
He's watching Frankenstein. That's nice. So I like the way they parallel the regeneration with that. I think that works brilliantly.
It's cool, actually. Yeah. And I've seen him in some other things as well. I'm sure I've seen him in. Anyways. And then you have like the various doctors who Grace works with. You have her husband who very humpy because she has to leave the opera and go back to the hospital. Yeah. And then you have a couple of policemen. You have a couple of gang members who Chang Li knocks about with. And then you have some policemen, a couple of news people. So you have these kind of supporting cast that don't really, they're not in scenes very long, and they don't really contribute too much. And then we have a couple of professor dudes at the end, with the big New Year's Eve event and the clock and stuff. But I thought they kind of slotted in okay. The story is very, very heavily all about the Doctor and Grace and the Master. Those three really, because although Chang Li is in it as another companion, if you like, he's not in it as much as Grace is. But yeah, I quite like the fact that something that I think something that I think modern Who suffers a little bit with certain episodes is that, it is about the Doctor. It's Doctor Who. It's not all about, the pouting companion all the time. And I like the fact that the story is really focused on the Doctor and the Master primarily. And then we have Grace as well, and Chang Li, who's in there for most of it. And I like the fact that the supporting cast is just slotted in where it needs to be. It's all about those guys, pushing the story through, and then the supporting cast are just there, literally, as their name would suggest, just to support what's going on with the main characters, really.
Just to add little moments in, like you said, that's quite funny, isn't it? The guy in the morgue, when he's watching the movie and he's a bit of a character himself, and he, like you said, he probably gets about 10 lines, but he makes them funny. I guess that's one of the things that I think really works for me in this TV movie is the fact that our four main cast, McGann, Daphne, why can't I say Daphne? Eric Roberts and Chang Li. The cast. I think the main four really work exceptionally well together. And I think the Master and Chang Li are a good double act. I especially love the bit in the ambulance where he's like, "Oh, you kill me, man." He's like, "You want me to kill you?" Yeah. That's a great little scene. Almost feels like an ad lib. That's lovely. I think that that pairing works well, and I think the Doctor and Grace are really good together. So you got sort of two, and then they sort of all come together at the end, don't they, in the ambulance? And you you got your four main cast members all, I think, firing on all four cylinders. I think they're great, really, really good together. I know Eric Roberts comes under some flack, I think, for his performance as the Master. Personally, I think he works well in the context of the story. I don't. It would top my. He would never be my favorite Master on that performance, but I think he works really well in this. For me personally, I think he's quite funny. Maybe at times he's not meant to be. I love the scene where he comes down the stairs in his gown, and I'll tell you what it is. I think he just, whenever I watch this and while watching it again, I was like, it seems to me that Eric Roberts is really enjoying the part.
Right.
That's what comes through to me in this. So, whether you like him or don't like him as the Master, I always just enjoy his performance. When he comes down and says, "I like to dress for the occasion," I'm just like, oh, wow, I'm loving this. It's just so over the top, but I don't care. So I don't have a problem with him as the Master at all. I quite like him. I know he goes a bit, it's a bit of an odd performance at times, if you like, like when he's doing the whole, "Where is the Asian child?" thing and all that. It's a bit, he sort of goes from like the Terminator to some sort of camp,
yeah.
But I don't mind. I don't have a problem with it. I think he works, as I said, I love the scenes of him and Chang Li. I think they work well together. And so I think our four cast members in it are really, really good.
Yeah.
They work well.
Yeah. I mean, I think McGann and Daphne work very well together. I think they're the strongest in it. Chang Li, Yi, I think he's pretty good. No complaints really. He's probably doing as he's been directed to do. But I think Eric Roberts, like you say, I think he works okay in the context. But for me, I think I mentioned this in our first review as well. He is like the weakest link for me, if you like. I mean, like you said,
it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can accept that his performance over the top, but I still enjoy it at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible.
I see why it annoyed people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's worlds apart from, Delgado and Anthony. He's worlds apart from their performance. However, that's just because it's different. He's not trying to be like them, which is good, because that would have been dreadful. To try and replicate those guys. So he is trying to do his own thing with it, which is not a bad thing.
And he is quite menacing.
He is.
To be fair. Take away all the sort of over-the-top performance at the end and all that. Scenes like when he strangles his poor wife, that's horrible. And there is something about Eric Roberts that when he does menacing, he does come across as quite nasty at times. And you think, oh, you wouldn't mess with him. Despite all the over the topness, I think he can do the nasty side of the Master pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. He can do that stuff.
Because I love the bit when they're in the ambulance at the end, and you sort of think, like when he turns up at Grace's house, right, and he takes the Doctor away, and McGann sort of looks as if he's not sure, but something's not right here. And you sort of think, has he twigged it's the Master or not? So they're in the ambulance, and the whole time the Doctor's just looking at him, and he's thinking, now something's wrong here. Yes. So I love that tension of the fact that, he's in the ambulance with the Master. You think McGann knows, but you're not sure. And then obviously, the glasses come flying off and he sees the eyes and his game's up. And then then he does a bit of Exorcist, doesn't he, with his projectile vomit going on to poor old Grace and all that. That's all a bit nasty, but I like, what I mean, those scenes, I think they're quite good. There's quite good tension between the two of them in those scenes, which I think he does well.
No, yeah, absolutely. And in the finale as well, when they're in the Eye of Harmony room and they're getting Grace to look into the column or whatever it is.
Yeah. Life is wasted on the living. I always love that line. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's wasted on the living. Anyway.
It's high intensity as well. You've got the Doctor screaming and shouting. You've got Grace with that awesome performance as like the kind of possessed sort of person.
That is good, isn't it?
With the black eyelids, the black lenses in, and she does that well. And then you've got the Master being camp as anything with his evil tone and his one-liners that are, something out of a cheesy B-movie horror flick.
Yeah.
And it does work. I mean, it's directed pretty well for the most part. They do work well together.
One thing, I thought the direction was beautiful, actually, mate. I really thought the direction and the editing. As I said, I watched this again last night, so it's fresh in my mind, and it's really well directed. I think there's, the scenes of McGann walking down the corridor in his white towel at the start. It's just the way the camera turns and beautifully lit, and it's honestly the editing and direction I think is superb in it. Really, really good.
Let's talk about the man himself then, Mr. McGann. It has to be the highlight of it. For, McGann's performance and him as the Doctor, for me anyway, is just the overarching thing that just makes this film so much more. Than what it could have been. It's definitely not a disaster of a release. Let's get that straight.
No, I know.
But it could have been. That's the point. It could have been so bad that nobody would have touched Doctor Who again.
It could have been the end.
It could have been, yeah. And I think a lot of its success is down to McGann. He absolutely just, it's one of my favourite performances as the Doctor. I absolutely love McGann, and it's just such a shame. I mean, thank God for Big Finish that we're able to hear him as the Doctor in loads more adventures. But it's such a shame that we only get one proper televised story with McGann, because I think if they had have picked this up as a series and would have rolled with it, we would have seen some brilliance on screen from McGann. I think we would have just had one of the best performances of all of Doctor Who if we'd have seen him more. And I know that what was the 50th thing? Was it Night of the
Night of the Doctor.
Night of the Doctor. That was great. He slotted back into the performance there brilliantly. So that was great. But it's just so short. It's 10 minutes max?
Yeah,
if that.
It's not even that. Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, McGann just sells the whole thing. His performance, right from the second you see him on screen, he just nails it. He literally is one of my favourite Doctors. His performance is brilliant. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, I would agree, mate. I think he's excellent in it. I always feel like when we get to that scene at the end, he's so comfortable on screen as the Doctor. When he's saying goodbye to Grace and he's like, "Come with me," and she's like, "You come with me." Oh, yeah, he's like, "Me, come with you." And he's charming. Mm-hmm. He's just absolutely charming. He's in his costume, and I always feel like every time I get to that end scene where he gives the TARDIS console another thump, and off he goes, I always think he's just raring to go. Mm-hmm. Our Doctor has gone through his post-regeneration Who Am I stuff throughout the story. He's saved the Earth, and he's back in his TARDIS, giving it a thump, and off he goes, raring to go on a load of adventures. And it just makes me sad. I just think what could have been, and I don't know what could have been, because it could have, like you said, would the production values have continued? Would we have got really good stories? One thing I do know is that, one thing I'm pretty sure of is that McGann would have been an excellent Doctor, excellent Doctor, but he would have been given a full series. I think you're right. We would have seen some great stuff from him. I don't know what the quality of the stories would have been like. I don't know what the quality of the production would have been like, but judging it on this, I think I would have loved to have seen more. Every time he gets in that TARDIS, I'm just like, he's just getting going. He's just got his costume, and he's ready for it. And it's such a shame. Just cut. That's all we get. Like you said, thank goodness for Big Finish.
Oh God,
because he's so good in it. And go get the Eighth Doctor Adventures. They are so good, especially Series 4 when he goes back to meet Susan. Just go and listen to those audios. It's the ones where he's traveling with Sheridan Smith, Lucy Bleed Miller. So good. Yeah, so good.
That's those. If you're a fan of McGann and you've not listened to any of his Big Finish stuff, you're missing out.
Yeah,
because some of them are brilliant stories, and he's just like, they've not tweaked his Doctor. They haven't said to him, I know you did the movie, but we're looking for more. They haven't done any of that. They've said, look, just do what you did as the Doctor, and it's seamless. As his performance on Big Finish as the Doctor is identical to the film. He hasn't changed it at all. It works so well.
Why didn't you think to put him in the blimmin' 50th, mate? Because that's what we needed, especially when Eccleston dropped out.
Yeah.
It just seems like, again, he's just like there, gets his little moment in the fame. It's like, thanks, Paul. Off he goes. Thinking, no, for my mind, Eccleston should have been in the 50th.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've absolutely no doubt or qualms about that. That's what I would have liked to have seen. Is McGann in it with John Hurt and Matt Smith and David Tennant? That would have been something special, I think. Yes. Really special.
Yeah. And it does have shades of Eccleston, because we say it all the time, don't we, that we would have loved to have seen another series of Eccleston. And it's that same vibe where we'd love to have seen more of McGann.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So maybe for the 60th anniversary, we'll get a Eccleston and McGann special.
Well, we haven't reviewed the Day of the Doctor, haven't we?
Not yet,
so I'm not going to say too much, but all I'm going to say is this: can you imagine? Because I can't say too much because we haven't reviewed it. But can you imagine how brilliant it would have been if it had starred, like a proper multi-Doctor story? You've got McGann, Eccleston, Tennant, and Smith in one story. Now, how unbelievable! Oh, and John Hurt, sorry,
John Hurt, yeah.
Doctor. How unbelievable would that have been?
Oh, mate, it would have been,
amazing. And I don't. People might say, "Oh no, too crowded, too much going on." No. I love the 5 Doctors. It can be done. Yeah. And the Moffat could have done it. It would have been spectacular. But anyway, I'll save the rest of my thoughts for when we do get round to reviewing the Day of the Doctor, because I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, but no, I reckon that we haven't seen the last of McGann on screen.
Hope not. People sometimes talk about, the BBC could still do like the 8th Doctor Adventures. Couldn't they? Could still commission it as like a spin-off. I don't know. Part of me thinks that could work, I don't think it would ever happen.
It would never happen, no, but it could work.
But it could work. Even if it's sort of filled in the gaps of the main series. I think people are like, well, no, you can't do that because it confuses people with the main series. But I don't know. I think there is ways around it. I think you could make it work not as a spin-off, because I want it to be canon. He is the Doctor. There's no, I will argue that till the end of the earth. I will not have, he is a Doctor.
Yes.
So I'd be quite happy for him to have his own little show to fill in while we're waiting for series 12 or 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I reckon he will be back as some kind of special.
I hope so.
I think when we get to 60 years, when we get to the 60th or something like that, I reckon we'll see him because he's up for it. He's always said at conventions and interviews, he's always said that he loves playing the part, and if it ever presented itself that he would have the opportunity to come back, he would absolutely do it. So I reckon I still think there's a chance we'll see him at some kind of special. I don't know, but
I hope so, mate.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention, buddy, before we get on to our rescores?
Something I'll mention something I like and something I don't like. So something I like is what I said earlier. The TARDIS prop is just beautiful, outstanding, magnificent. The inside and outside, but the actual prop is beautiful. I think it's one of the best TARDISes we've ever seen. And something I don't like is the fact it's never had a proper title, because I hate referring to it as the movie or the TV movie. Like, I wish it had a proper title, because I just don't like that. It sounds so... It's just a nothing title, isn't it? Oh, I'm watching the movie tonight. What movie? The McGann movie? What? Let's give it a title. I mean, what? I don't know what you'd call it, but the Asian child or something. Anything. Just give it a title. That's the one thing that's always bugged me.
Well, I think it's self-titled, isn't it? I think it's just called Doctor Who.
Yeah, but I don't like that. I want it to have a Doctor Who dresses for the occasion, or
I know what anything. You mean, because it's referred to always as the TV movie.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It almost suggests that it's subpar compared to the rest of canon, but it's I know what you mean though. It would be nice to have.
I mean, I know it's because it's a pilot, but I would have thought they could have given it a title. I'm going to try and think of one, actually, a good one. But no, that's it, mate. That's it, really. Yeah.
For me, I just want to mention the releases for this. So it's been out on VHS, it's been out on DVD twice. It was out as a standard DVD release, wasn't it? And then they brought it out as a special edition DVD with a slightly different cover. And then, of course, we got the Blu-ray
Yes. I'm glad you've mentioned that.
Yes.
Because a lot of people asked us, didn't they, if we thought the Blu-ray was worth getting. And when I watched this last night, it's the first time, believe it or not, I've watched my Blu-ray. I'm sorry to say, I sort of bought it the day of release. And then, I've never watched it because I've always watched the DVD. So I actually watched my Blu-ray last night. So I'm quite interested to hear your quick thoughts on this, mate. My thoughts are the bits on film looked good, but sort of like CGI opening credits, things like that looked very grainy and it actually didn't really enhance it. So my thoughts were, I don't think you really benefit that much from getting it on Blu-ray. Because your Blu-ray upscales the DVD quality anyway. So I don't know. I didn't see because it is just an upscale. I didn't see a massive improvement on the Blu-ray. I've got to be honest, but it looks great. It looks fine as it is, but like I said, there were bits where it did look it almost shows up the imperfections, doesn't it? The more they upscale it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Because people were asking us, weren't they? Should I get the Blu-ray? Is it worth getting? And I don't know. I don't think it is if you've got the DVD, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that, mate. I was really excited when they said they were going to bring out the Blu-ray because it's ripe for that remaster. Because they've still got the film stock, they've still got the negatives, and they could have rescanned that back in and give it a proper HD resolution. It would have looked really nice. But instead, they've done a lot due to money. I'm guessing. All they did was they just took they took a PAL standard definition version and just upscaled it. So they just blew up the image to fit the resolution, and as a result of that, yes, it does look a little bit sharper, and it does look a little bit more. I think the colours are a little bit more enhanced as opposed to the standard DVD, but not really noticeable.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing I did notice actually though, was that the audio sounded really good when I watched this last night. Like, sometimes the dialogue gets a bit lost or it's quieter than the music and whatever. But one thing I did think was how good it sounded on Blu-ray. I think what I would say is if you haven't got this on DVD or whatever, I think the Blu-ray is pretty cheap now. I would say get the Blu-ray, if you haven't got it, because it does have all the extras collected from those versions you just said about, like, it's been released on DVD a couple of times. So they've collected together, a lot of the special features. So it's nice to have them in one place. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can get it cheap and you want it, or you haven't seen it, then I would recommend getting the Blu-ray. But if you've already got both versions of DVD and stuff, I didn't see enough to warrant another purchase. I don't think, but it did sound great, I have to say. Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right, mate. If you don't own it and you've got a Blu-ray player, then you may as well pick it up on Blu-ray. It's $9.99 at the minute.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Fairly cheap. If you've got the DVDs, then don't bother.
No, you won't notice that much difference in picture, I don't think.
Yeah.
No.
Like us that went out and bought it on day one.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe that's the first time I watched it. I was thinking, like, on Blu-ray, I mean, I always just put the DVD in. I was thinking, no, go and unwrap that Blu-ray.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So for me, like you, I love the TARDIS. It's such a gorgeous interior set. It's I don't know, it's huge. It fills up the screen lovely. It's got a brilliant feel to it. It's got a real, I don't know, it's just beautiful. Brilliant. And the exterior as well, the TARDIS prop is really good as well, like you say. Things I'm not too keen on would be Eric Roberts. I have to be honest, it just doesn't really do it too much for me as a master. And also, I mean, like I was saying earlier, you have to get past the different feel that this has and so on. And there is just a tiny little part of me that just that, American production and stuff like that. Does it suit Doctor Who? Probably not. However, that shouldn't stop you from enjoying the story. And for me, it's one of those stories that gets, as the years roll by and, you watch it every now and then, it does, I don't know, my appreciation for it does gets more, every time I watch it. So, yes.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I honestly don't get the hate.
Yeah, I
know one person. Well, you know them as well. I'm thinking of Liv from the Who Addicts, who cannot stand it. she won't watch it. I think she's watched it once, and if you even mention it, she's like, I hate the TV movie. And I don't get it. I honestly don't. I'm sorry, Liv, you know I love you, but I don't get the hate for it. I really don't, because I thoroughly enjoyed watching this last night from start to finish. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong opinion on this one. I know, well, you and I have spoken to a couple of people at conventions that don't really mind it, and there's other people that, like Liv, absolutely cannot stand it. They just can't get past that feel of it. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Whose turn is it to go first?
That's what I was going to say. Who is it to go first? What was our scores from the first time? 7 and 8.
Yeah. I gave it a 7. You gave it an 8. Okay. So I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Oh, it's gone up.
It has gone up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've funnily enough, I wrote down 8 once it finished last night. I really enjoyed watching it. Really enjoyed watching it, and I just thought it's not perfect, so I can't go any higher than an 8. Mm-hmm. But because there are bits that you could improve, but I just really liked it, and I think it's a strong 8. So
yeah,
mine hasn't changed. That's interesting. I didn't know. I couldn't remember what I scored it before, so it's interesting that I'm still. It hasn't gone up. It hasn't gone down.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's solid 8.
Yeah, mine's gone up a little bit. I do have a more of appreciation for it. So fans that don't like it and stuff, just leave all that sort of baggage and preconception at the door, if you like, and just watch it take it for what it is, which is this isolated but still canon sort of fun story, really. So yeah,
and get that and crank the volume up, get that soundtrack blasting out. I tell you, really adds to it. Yeah.
Yes. Right, our beautiful listeners.
Yeah, what did they have to say?
We had a few audio clips in, so we're going to crank through those. We're going to do 2 at a time. We're going to kick off with Owen Daly.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. The TV movie. Oh my God, I love this story so much. I remember first watching it when I was about 10 and falling in love with Paul McGann. He's my favourite Doctor. And although most of his really great stories are on audio, I think this one holds its own. I love it. People don't like it because of its American feel. It doesn't suit Doctor Who. And yes, I can see where they're coming from. I would not have liked to have seen them continue with this feel of Doctor Who, but for one story I think it's great. It's got so many memorable moments, like the seventh Doctor at the start, even though it's just a guest appearance. I think he's amazing, and I love how he's killed, him getting gunned down. It's just really, I think it's one of the best Doctor deaths. Again, debatable, but that's my opinion. Paul McGann, Who Am I? That's a great scene. Every scene Paul McGann's in, amazing. The motorcycle chase, the final battle in the TARDIS itself looks amazing. I love Daphne Ashbrook. I think she's amazing. Grace is brilliant. Yi Ji So, Chin Lee, that's not his name, but I think he's amazing. And even Eric Roberts' Master, I love him. The only thing that brings it down is the Doctor saying he's half human, but I can look over that, so I'm going to give the story a 10 out of 10. I love it. Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
Crikey.
Gasp. 10 out of 10.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, I'm glad he likes it.
Yeah. Cheers, Owen. This is Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam. Sammy Satine here. So, the TV movie. 1996. I was 9. I guess I feel nostalgic because this is basically TV from my childhood. Paul McGann, the longest and the shortest. We only see him on TV at the beginning and at the end of his life. And neither the Doctor is a phenomenal 6 minutes. I like Daphne, or Dashni as you call her. G.T.G. So is good too. Only downside is Eric Roberts. Plus a few continuity errors, Scarrow being back, Daleks putting someone on trial, and the whole half-human thing. Anyway, 8 out of 10. See ya!
Good score.
Cheers, Sammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Daleks sound very weird at the start, don't they?
They have got.
They don't sound like Daleks. Nick Briggs was on holiday that week, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sammy. Let's keep these audio clips going. Let's get through them. This is Loopy Loo.
Very funky theme tune. I love the steampunk TARDIS interior. It's just so cool. And I really like Seventh's new costume and his mad professor type hair. Love that look. It's so sudden, the Doctor being shot so early on, and for no good or heroic reason. And he doesn't even die from the bullet. He dies because the doctors don't understand his anatomy. Such a pointless death. I just find that so sad and tragic. Extra awful that Grace was the one who actually killed him. I love Chang Lee's reaction when he walks into the TARDIS. It was really subtle and quite funny. Were they bats in the cloister room? Did I see and hear bats? Or was that just me? Anyway, let's just ignore the Doctor is half human line. I hate that bit. We'll just pretend that doesn't exist. It's a good story, if a bit messy. I think the first half hour is the best, to be honest. The rest is okay. I do love McGann as the Doctor. I would give it a 7 out of 10.
A 7, yes. I think there were bats. I think I spotted bats as well.
Yep.
I also spotted that line that you noticed last time that I never had before, and I wasn't listening out for it on purpose because I'd forgotten until I heard it, which is where the Doctor sort of insinuates that he can turn into a creature if he wants when he regenerates.
Oh,
and I was like, because I've never noticed that before. And I was like, I heard him say it this time. He's like, well, I could, because she's like, why is the Master a snake? He's like, wow, I can do it. It's regeneration. It could be anything I want, or something like that. And I was like, yeah, he does say that, which is weird. Yeah,
those words are even more relevant to a recent casting decision in Doctor Who.
It could be anything.
Could be anything.
He could come back as an elephant.
Yeah, or even a woman, if he was so brave.
Yeah.
Right, let's crack on. This is Martin Arnold.
Howdy doody, Doctor Who fans. Hope you're all doing well. The movie, I mean, it's not bad. It's not great, and it's not. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't think there's many people that think it's really good, but it isn't by any means bad. I mean, it is pretty authentic, apart from one glaring, horrible error which we all know about. But it does the Doctor Who thing, and when it does it pretty well. It's just that the plot just doesn't really go anywhere for most of the episode. It just seems to be they seem to be kind of setting up the relationship between the Doctor, whose name escapes me, and the Doctor. I can't remember what her character's called, Daphne Ashbrook's character. The Doctor and the Doctor, as if that's some huge joke that they're sort of dining out on rather than having an actual story. But the TARDIS is really done really well. I guess, it's a different take. It's not my favourite by any means, but it's not bad. Eric Roberts is pretty good. It's a 7 out of 10. I mean, I'm struggling for anything else to say really, because it's just kind of average. It could have crashed and burned. It's all we got in the 90s. It was decent for what it was. It's better than nothing, and that's about all I can say. Thanks very much.
Yes, I wonder which way Martin was going to go when they took that long pause. He's like, I was going to, but he's right, isn't it? It's not bad. It could have been so much worse. It's perfectly watchable. It's not like you don't sit there with your head in your hands all the way through going, oh, no. It's they got a lot right with it, I think.
Yes.
And a few bits wrong.
No, I agree. Yep. This is George Buddy.
Hello, Gary and Adam. So, the TV movie Revisits month continues. So, that monologue at the start by McGann is quite nice, but what is up with those dialogue voices? They're a bit weird, don't know if you agree. I love the title sequence, I love the graphics, but even more the music. I'm gonna say it, that title sequence music is my favourite piece of title sequence music. It is just amazing. McCoy returns in this episode. I would have liked if he said more lines, because he doesn't say a lot. The console room is brilliant, and I do love the TARDIS exterior as well. I love the direction and the music, brilliant. Why do they keep using the same shot of the TARDIS from the title sequence, though? It's clear that they keep on reusing that shot. Eric Roberts is terrible as the Master. He's not terrible as a villain, but as the Master, he's not very good. But I love Paul McGann as the Doctor, he's brilliant. But seriously, that half-human crap in this, nobody needs it. Why was it in there? And the end scene, I love. Now, it's a great movie. Not so much a Doctor Who episode, but it's a great movie. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. See you next week.
8 out of 10. Same as me.
I love that. This half-human stuff. Who needs it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, George. Last audio clip. This is Jake Birtwistle.
Hello, Gary and Adam, and the rest of the listeners of this week's Big Blue Box podcast. Do I really have to review this? The TV movie. I really don't like this. I just can't explain why it's terrible. Like, most of the acting, apart from Paul McGann, Daphne Ashbrook and Sylvester McCoy, is terrible. The Master is overly camp. It feels like I'm watching a Power Rangers film, and it's just that line that the Master said, I hate it, when he says that the Doctor is half human, half Time Lord. I refuse to class this movie as canon just for that reason. If it wasn't for Sylvester and McGann and Daphne, I would give this movie a 0 out of 10, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 just for them. See ya.
Wow. Boo, boo, Sir Jake, boo. Hiss. No, actually, to be fair, it's good to have a diverse comment, because I think so far it's all been positive. So it's good, it's good to get someone's different take on it, even if I don't agree with it. But no.
Yeah, Jake, not a fan at all.
Not a fan.
No.
3, a 0.
A 0 or a 3, blimey.
Oh, go and get that soundtrack on.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for sending in your audio clips. We're going to jump over to the other stuff now. Over on Twitter, we did our normal poll. 77% of you said it was likey, and 23% said stinky.
Not bad.
Now, I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, I am. I thought it'd be more stinky.
I'm glad
there's not.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more 50-50, actually, because it's so divided. But yeah, 77%. I liked it, which is good. And then over on Twitter itself, we had a few people. Jongle Bells said, if it finished when the title sequence ended, it would have been good.
Oh.
Laughing face.
Yeah.
Sarah Louise Baggett says, really enjoyed it. It's been a few years since I last watched it, but it was better than I remembered. Cult Dissection says, wasn't it originally called The Enemy Within? They should have released it with that title. That sounds cool, actually.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Darren. Shane Reese says, the only thing I dislike about it is where the Doctor says he's half human.
Yeah.
Our good friend, the Theta Sigma podcast, said, I adored this on broadcast. Then I watched it a second time and just thought, oh dear. Dear Rassilon, why? However, on a rewatch, 8 out of 10 for ambition. Paul McGann, Daphne and Yuji So are outstanding. Nathan, Silent Nerd C137 says, I love this and I think I'm in the minority who like Eric Roberts as the Master. Baffled how McGann never got his own series. An amazing Doctor and a travesty. The only on-screen appearance of him is in this movie and Night of the Doctor. He gives it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, good.
Our good friend Morgan, Gallifrey and Whovian, says it's okay. Not groundbreaking, but it's a decent watch. Find it's often praised too much or too little at times. McGann was a great and very underrated incarnation. Eric Roberts, we won't speak of him again. He gives it a 7.1. Johnny Gilroy gives it...
7.1?
Yeah, very precise. Johnny Gilroy gives it a 5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Finn Walsh gives it a 6.5.
Getting lower now.
Yeah, and Roxanne says, I liked it. Exclamation mark, yeah. And there we go. And then quickly over on Facebook, Lewis Palmer says, a fun oddity, which ultimately gave us one of the very best Doctors. So I'll always be grateful for that. It's got one of the best TARDIS sets ever, great soundtrack, and mostly good performances. Eric Roberts is interesting, to say the least. He goes from the Terminator to the canoeist villain. I think that's a...
Campist.
I think that's a auto-correction thing gone wrong there. Goes from Terminator to the campest villain ever in a matter of minutes, but he gives some laughs, albeit unintentional ones. Overall, I liked it. It's fun. Now, if we could only get a remastered Blu-ray from the original and not the sped-up PAL version. Yes.
Yeah. Now, it might be true that I think there's something to do with the original Fox or someone holds the original things. I think there is a problem. I don't think it's that straightforward.
There is. It's a Star Wars thing all over again with Fox.
Yeah.
Yep. He gave it a 7 out of 10, though. Zach Jenkins, some great scenes. The Doctor and the police officer. The TARDIS is a masterpiece. One of my favourite sets. It doesn't fall down a bit with the romance scenes. And Eric Roberts' pantomime acting is hilarious. A 7.5.
That's all right.
Joseph Howarth, what can be said about it? It's meant for a pilot for a TV series that failed to take off. And apparently some people don't like this one, which is, I'm not sure why. Personally, have a soft spot for the movie. I love McGann, the 8th Doctor, who I thought did a great job. Grace was a strong companion. Goes on to say, Eric Roberts, I'll forever give him the nickname, the Camp Terminator. I consider him the only bad thing about this. It's a very rare, very bare bones of a story. I understand why people don't like it, but honestly, I think it gets bashed a little too much. Gave it a 7 out of 10. Dean Jones. It's a strange one. McGann is magnificent. Daphne is very good. But for a TV movie budget, it has a lot going for it. TARDIS set is absolute highlight, but many of the visual effects just do not hold up.
I didn't think they were too bad, actually.
Yeah, he goes on to give it a 7 out of 10. And Jason Thayer, I always wish Big Finish could make Grace an official companion. She seems like she had potential. Eric Roberts almost ruins it. However, an 8.5. So that's going to do it for the official stuff. Did you have anything over on the Geeks Handbag?
Yeah, I had a couple. Stephen McCullough, otherwise known as Vote Saxon 07, he says, my first experience of Doctor Who, so it has a lot of nostalgia. Watching it again on Blu-ray, it really holds up. Very entertaining way to reboot the show, and I'm sad it didn't go to the series. Can you imagine an American-produced Doctor Who, he says. He rides a police motorcycle, he gets shot. I can't help but wonder what US version of the Cybermen or Daleks would be. It's cheesy and stuff, and Eric Roberts is over the top, chewing the scenery, but he says he loved every second of it. So he really enjoyed it. Charlie Turner, what does Charlie think? He says, I always wondered what Doctor Who would be like if it was made in America. This is the perfect example of that. It's pretty decent, he says. But the worst thing about it is Eric Roberts, good actor, but him as the Master, wow, what a poor performance to say the least. Oh, and maybe meeting McGann, who is brilliant. We maybe meet McGann this Sunday, he says. This Sunday, wow. So, yeah, good luck meeting McGann. He's really nice. Charlie gives it a score of 5 out of 10, so pretty middle of the road. Ryan McGivern says a very underrated story with a very underrated master. Paul McGann naturally plays the Doctor so well, it's as if he's been playing the character for years. Daphne Ashbrook and Yuji So make really good companions. I can't help but laugh at Sylvester McCoy's final scream. It's weird you say that. I notice when he jumps up, he does like a really funny face. And finally, Patrick Sherwood says it's one of my favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Wow. He says, I love this movie. It's brilliant. Every time I watch it, it gets better and better for me. Paul McGann is one of the most underrated Doctors, in my opinion. I think it's brilliant. And I think the entire cast is amazing. I'm going to meet Paul McGann, he says, this Sunday, the 19th. Oh, it's a 10th Planet event. Right, okay. And he's going to be getting his TV movie booklet signed. We forgot to mention it was Paul McGann's birthday the other day as well. He's just reminded me of that. So, yeah, it's all going on. So he says, I love the movie, The Eighth Doctor, and he's going to give it a solid 99.9% out of 100.
Wow.
Great movie, great cast, he says. So it was a bit of a mixed bag, wasn't it, mate? There's a lot of positivity, but a few that are just, yeah. And Sir Jake really hates it.
He really hates it.
He's him and Liv, they're just not going to watch it. I think we should, like the Clockwork Orange thing that McGann's in at the end of the TV movie. We should get one of them, force them to watch it, rewatch it. It's really, I don't know. I'm not seeing what they see. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely... I don't know. Like I said earlier,
if you can, Marmite.
Yeah, if you can put aside your, I don't know what the word is really, your kind of views and opinions on the Americanism and all that stuff, then yeah, it's definitely worth giving it a shot, especially if you haven't seen it. If you've not seen it because of the bad vibes that you've heard, just ignore that and give it a go.
Yeah.
Right. That was the TV movie. Done and dusted for the second time.
Yes.
For the last week of Revisits Month. Next week, dude.
It's a big one, isn't it? So it's a big one, this,
what we
I
got?
think.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a big one. So next week, The Caves of Androzani, Fifth Doctor's regeneration story. I say it's a big one. It is a big story. And also it's one that we, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't reviewed this together.
No.
Have we?
Nope.
I think you did it in perhaps one of the
It was episode 1. For me.
Well, it's the very first one. Wowzers.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to chatting through that story.
Yeah, and we've held back from talking about it because we've never reviewed it together, and we've never. So it's been one of those episodes that's often viewed as one of the best in classic Who, but we rarely talk about it because we haven't reviewed it together. So it'll be a great chance to really chew the fat on it and
I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
So get your DVDs out for that because we were asking for your views as usual for next week. And I think we're going to do there for 165.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to 165. It's been a jam-packed show, loads of news and merch, and it's been awesome, mate, talking through the TV movie once more. It's been really good.
Yes.
So I think in conclusion, it is a bit of a Marmite story. However, McGann alone is worth the price of admission, if you like.
Yes, and those of you meeting him this weekend, enjoy. He's a top chap, isn't he?
He is.
We both met him. Nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy. And if you haven't seen it and you want to pick it up, just get the Blu-ray. You might as well, because it's got the slightly better audio mix. So next week, The Caves of Androzani. Really looking forward to... I haven't seen that one in a while. I've seen it a few times, but not in a while. So that's going to be freaking awesome. Head over to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows on there. Plus, you can also check out all of our articles that are going out multiple times a week from our team of writers. Some really good stuff coming out from those guys. So make sure you subscribe on the feeds and all that stuff. And on the podcast, if you subscribe on iTunes, that'd be awesome. And if you're an iTunes listener, a review and a rating would be fantastic. We had some really lovely reviews recently, and you just really appreciate it. It's so great to know that you guys enjoy the show and that you're liking everything. So that's all awesome. Remember to check out Adam's channel. He runs his own empire of geekness called The Geek's Handbag. Yes, so head over to YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everything, and give him a like and a follow and a subscribe. You will not be disappointed with Adam's content. It's all awesome.
Big sub. Give me a big sub.
A big sub.
Get those subs up.
Exactly, yeah. No, seriously, Adam's stuff is so good. You'll get lost for at least an hour or so going through all his videos. Very, very cool. Until next week for 166, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...